Last time, on Asmiliath adventures, a lot happened, so we're going to blitz through this particular summary. We pick up as the Golden Hearts leave Barren Hollow, heading back to Karun Vale. Once they arrive, Valoran meets with Duke Sarensot and the rest of the party go to the messaging service. Having received a reply from Lord Solomon, Valoran learns his mother and sister have been invited to stay with Lord Solomon for the time being. After reading over the letters a few times, Valoran discovers a hidden message from his mother that warns Valoran that his sister Genevieve is planned to be wed to Lord Solomon. Mulling over this fact, the party begin their trip back to Korel and deliver the vegetable of Lord Jerak. On this trip, Thor reaches out to Buffy again, trying his best to discover anything he can about the mysterious beast, only being able to discern a distinctly folkish accent coming from the Ragged Bear. Besides that, Jerak finally dons the crown of memories, and to his surprise, he is face to face with his spiritual benefactor, Dog. With the party internally dealing with their various emotional trauma that came from adventuring together, they finally make it back to Korel. I cannot speak today. After sneaking Lord Korel into the castle and having a brief interaction with the sickly-looking Duke, the party is put up in the castle for the night. To Jerak's delight, his estranged wife has tracked him down, and that interaction ends the only reasonable way it could. They bang. Waking up the next morning and scarfing down more bacon sandwiches, the party is invited to be a formal meeting with Duke Braun. Here are some of the highlights. The Golden Hearts are officially a recognized group now. Rolly got a voucher to repair his armor and bronze shard. Jerak becomes mayor of Korel, and Thor is given information about a magical weapon that is currently in the grasp of a wanted Leonin warrior. With the conversation going overall well and the Duke treating them in a more equal way, the party depart the castle with their first employee. Adam, the gnome cart driver, has now been promoted to head quartermaster to the Golden Heart Company. Oh, and they also have a banner now with fire and shit coming off of it. So, with Jerak collecting his wife and eldest daughter, and Adam showing some of the party his own demons, the Golden Hearts finally leave the city with Korel in their gaze. So, we are going to pick up, you're about half a day's travel from Korel. You guys gathered a small band of artisans and craftsmen that Duke Braun had kind of allocated for Korel. Overall, they don't seem to be the most interesting people. A lot of them are the very work-orientated, kind of silent, strong type. But they kind of talk amongst themselves, but they're kind of just trailing along as you guys travel your way to Korel. Adam, very, very ecstatic about his recent promotion and attempting to discreetly, but consistently, get his relationship on better terms with Jerak. Succeeding or failing in some regards, but overall, you know, just kind of a normal, steady pace. Definitely a relaxing difference from your pace coming from Karun Vale back to Korel, where you were pushing your horses and your equipment to the utter brink. But it's maybe about, we'll go with like noonish that you guys are picking up. You're like kind of set to arrive at Korel near afternoon, evening time, you know, keeping your current pace. But yeah, it's just kind of a normal traveling day for the newly appointed Golden Heart Company. So, if there is anything that you guys need to discuss, if you want to look over the notes that you had gathered about the monstrous wanted Leonin that you got from Duke Braun last session, now that you actually have them in your hands, whatever the party wants to do before you arrive at the Korel that you've been away from for quite some time.
I would like to take the time while traveling to see if I can gather the various artisans together with their own types. It's like the woodworkers all together, you know, whatever else. And encourage them to share different techniques that they may know. And see if I can get them to start developing some teamwork and common mindsets on that, what is it, 2 or 3 day?
Yeah, it's about a 2-day
travel.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have them go ahead and break that ice so they get more comfortable and might have better results faster.
Go ahead and give me just a persuasion check then to see how well that goes overall. Okay. It's certainly something that you wouldn't see the results of right off, but there probably was a little bit of, not tension, but at least just, you know, a strangeness, since they, you know, don't work together and they don't know each other, and now they're going to be living together in a new place that none of them know about. So kind of sharing some stories, introducing each other, you know, having their names kind of spread around, certainly assists. Potentially might see the outcome of that or the benefit of that somewhere down the road.
Fantastic.
Valor and Rolly, are you doing anything particular while finishing the trip to Korel?
No. Yeah, I think I would just be enjoying being official and I guess a little less restrained finally.
I did forget one thing that did occur between last session and this. Valorant footed the bill to get a covering for your wagon. You know, the kind of like Oregon Trail kind of covering. It is emblazoned with the new sigil of the Golden Hearts on the side. Rather, you know, appropriate with your new appointing. So, just to keep that image in mind as you guys travel now.
Thank you so much, Valor.
Right? Like the wheels on the cart are still just plain old wood.
Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta fix the rims later.
Yeah, it's a pretty plain covered wagon, but covered is a luxury out here in the sticks.
Yeah, heaven forbid you get dysentery with an uncovered wagon.
Well, I mean, this way it keeps the supplies dry. It can double as a tent in its own right.
Mm-hmm. Well, if there is nothing that you guys need to do while traveling, we can go ahead and jolly our way over to Korel. Sound good?
With the knowledge that it's not really Valorant's forte, on the trip I'm going to attempt a javelin hunt.
Okay.
See if I can bring something down. We don't need to roll initiative or anything. I'm just gonna see how if I can come up with anything.
Okay. How about we do investigation, stealth, and then dex?
Can I just throw my 2 cents in?
Sure.
Because I believe that is survival is what you use for hunting.
Ah, I forgot that was a thing entirely, yes.
It is, and it kind of something I'm halfway decent at. I'd be happy to help you.
Okay. Rolly and Valorant on a little hunting trip.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and switch the roles. We'll do survival with advantage, and then have you do dexterity straight.
That was supposed to be with advantage. I don't know why I didn't do it. Alright, there we go.
Okay. Dexterity check, not a save. So I'll let you re-roll that one. Cause,
yeah, okay. No
it's so much better. Okay. So, okay. Nearing... Are you leaving early morning, noon? When are you planning this this venture?
I guess in the early morning, just kind of not trying to hold the caravan up, just riding ahead of it.
Okay.
Going hunting, and with the expectation that we would meet back on the road.
Okay. So as you and Rolly depart in the morning, Jerak, you're left alone with Thor, and as you kind of warm up to maybe having a more in-depth conversation with Thor, he very abruptly informs you that he's going to go seek out Buffy and learn more about him. So now you're just left alone with Adam, your favorite individual, as Valor and Rolly go strolling off into the morning sun. So, Valorant, you're not particularly familiar with this neck of the woods, you know, not having traveled down here before, and being fairly different from the woodlands that you grew up with over in Folk. Rolly has, you know, been around here a little bit more. He's a more traveled man, and he also has been to Korel many a time. So, being a bit more familiar with his surroundings and having dealt with the wildlife just slightly more kind of allows a little bit of input here and there to help steer you in the right direction. Maybe after a few hours, you guys do find a small, like, den or patch of land that's been kind of dug through and overturned, the kind of the distinct evidence that hogs and whatnot have kind of been truffling around in the area, and spending a little while longer kind of following the tracks, kind of digging through the shrubbery. You do happen upon one, it kind of bursting out, kind of surprising you ever so slightly. You're trying to swing your spear around, aiming, or javelin, I guess, in the right direction, trying to get it on mark, and as you let it fly, you, like, scrape the top of its hide with the spear point. As it glides forward and into the shrubbery, you hear the hog kind of trundling off into the bushes. So.
Well, there goes dinner.
Another day of rations. It was closer than I expected to get.
Yeah, next time be a little more patient.
The hardest part of all.
It's a hog, not a woman. No need to rush things.
Sometime, not today, but sometime you'll have to tell me what your women are like.
Well, much like the men, well, I mean that, so anyway, it's a nice day.
I understand, your love of the drink a little better.
So as Valor and Rolly have yet another deep bonding moment where they reflect on the hardships of love, they meet back up with the kind of caravan, more or less, that you guys have created. Jerak, you noticing the distinct lack of a hog on the back of Belgrease. But you guys finished up traveling the rest of the day, moving through the woodlands where, you know, seemingly not so long ago, you'd been beset by bandits on the hunt for an ogre, you know, having smelled the burning ash of Korel that you're now, you know, distinctly in charge of breathing life back into, kind of moving through the woods and reflecting back a little bit on the adventures that the party has had so far. You break through the edge of the tree line into the actual clearing that Korel is in. I'll go ahead and drop you over to that map. Whoop. So, let me get that centered. Cool. So as you guys break through, it's been quite some time since you've actually physically set foot in Korel. As far as I can remember, it's been about a month and a half, maybe a month, that you've actually been back here, having gone all the way to Roy-Mazev and back, and then up to Korunvale and back. So there's been significant progress done to the town in your absence. The Great Hall, which had just been kind of newly constructed the last time you were here, has seemingly kind of begun just showing the kind of wear and tear of age, or just having, you know, general nature attack a building, kind of the fresh timber having a little bit of, you know, sludge and dirt and grime on it, but it's still obviously a fairly new structure. But there are new houses kind of dotting around the area, some of them being rebuilt on the actual ruins or the foundations of the buildings that were there previously, and then other ruins of the other buildings that were there having been kind of left or either cleaned up to some degree and half standing at this point. But it certainly is resembling more of a town. There still are, like, small groupings of wagons and carts, like tents and lean-tos kind of around the Great Hall. It's clear that not everybody is back up on their feet, but, you know, progress has been made, which is kind of, you know, a nice sight to see after the devastation it had received not too long ago. But you guys, you know, continue to trundle forward as you see various, you know, people moving about through the buildings, going about their daily work. Lots of construction still going on at this point, you know, roofs being finished, you know, chimneys being raised, that kind of thing that you could imagine. But, yeah, more or less you guys are now slowly rolling into your long-lost rebuilt town.
And, to be clear, there's
no palisade.
Palisade. Okay. All right. Yeah, you know, I think Jerak kind of did direct all the artisans to kind of look around, see where they can set up shop. Just look at the guys and be like, if y'all don't mind, I need to talk to Croak and drop some of this money off and let him know the good news.
Of course, Mr. Mayor. What else will be unloading?
Well, I was hoping we might stay here a day and get our bearings real quick before we head up to, I think we're going to Dragon Cliff Mines after this, if that was the agreement.
What I mean is, where should Talmian drop this lumber and stone cutting equipment?
Oh, and do we see any work areas that are already being utilized? Is there like an obvious like blacksmith or anything set up yet?
So the structures that are kind of put up right now, seemingly are just kind of like residential housing buildings, nothing to stand out about like some particular job or service they may provide. There are various bits of material kind of dotted around the Great Hall kind of being, or the Great Building, whatever the main kind of center building will end up being called. There is supplies kind of dotted around and kind of laid out around that building. Kind of far off into the woodlands, where you had known the previous lumberyard kind of been, there seems to be work going on over there with, fallen trees and timber kind of being stacked up there as well, but clearly that's not where they're storing it, just kind of where it's being processed. So that's kind of what you're able to see.
Okay, gotcha. Well, maybe we should just leave them in the carts for now. And I will take a look and see, I guess, what they're doing so far and see where we can move them after that. I guess head on in to find Croak.
Okay. So you guys are just going to pull up to the main building, kind of disembark and go inside?
Is there a tavern built yet?
Not that's easily identifiable.
Set to work identifying where that's at.
Oh man, you remind me. Okay, so you're gonna look around at like the other buildings, see if there's some sort of tavern being provided. Okay.
Yeah, I'll bid everyone farewell and wander around, see where you can find a drink in this town.
Okay. So we'll round back to you. So as you guys are pulling up to the main building, Adam kind of pulling up to the main door, as you are kind of going by the open front door, you see inside Croak kind of looking over kind of a big table in the center of the main room on the inside. He looks up, kind of spotting you, and you see a genuinely kind of like happy, surprised look on his face as he kind of begins to shuffle a few papers away and then begins to kind of proceed, leaving the building. Adam's kind of looking around, just trying to like gather where quite to kind of park himself or position the cart, not really having any sort of clue as to where. He's kind of leaving you guys in place for the time being. But Croak comes stepping out. There's like a small partial deck kind of constructed on the front of the building that maybe potentially might be like a gathering place for the locals, or where like a speech might be given, but it's not quite finished yet. But he steps out onto that. He kind of opens his arms out wide. He goes, "Oh, boss, it's been some time. I hear that we've had a change in management."
Yeah, Croak. I'm glad to see everything's doing so well. Got some extra buildings up. That's very good. Looks like the lumber is getting cut nicely. Where's my palisade, Croak?
Well, boss, I'm not one to undermine your authority, especially now that we are of a more official nature. But I think the meeting of the minds that we held after you left the palisade was not our most immediate attention. But anyway,
okay.
I'd love to welcome you back, sir. There's plenty to catch you up on. It does appear that the town is running smoothly, which the outward appearances matter quite a bit, but there are quite a few things that we should be going over, or there are things that you might want to be filled in on. If you want to come inside, I can show you around, kind of catch you up on everything that you've missed.
Yeah, we've got some personnel and things for you as well, so...
Yes, I received a letter from the Duke. Yes.
I'll be bringing Pulaski here, by the way.
Yeah.
So, Krog, where is the tavern?
Well, we do not have a tavern yet. Rolly? I guess I can't call you boss anymore.
Yes,
but
just Rolly's fine, but dwarf to dwarf, what kind of establishment have you been running here?
well, the main room in the Great Hall has been functioning as kind of the place for people to eat and gather. We serve drinks there. There's a few women that take care of it, so if you want to step on in, I'm sure someone will get you a drink, Rolly.
See about this.
I don't think they would turn away a hero of Korel. As he's kind of like done speaking to Rolly, he kind of looks around at the cart, moving his eyes from Valorant to Pulaski and the various people that are with you. Moving back to Jerak eventually. You seem to be missing the big man and the elf girl.
Thor is handling some personal business, and we unfortunately parted ways with our previous companion. Krog, please say hello to Lord Valoran Ethelvain.
He kind of like perks up a little bit at the mention of Lord, kind of looking up at him and kind of nodding his head down ever so slightly.
He has joined us, and we have rebranded, as it were. We're now the Golden Hearts. So joyous day. We are recognized within the Kingdom of Giles as a band of adventurers, and as such, we can procure coin, and I've got some for you, Krog.
Well, I'll never say no to coin, but it is rather inconvenient that we've lost some bosses. I had set aside rooms for each of you in the Great Hall, but if Lord Valoran is going to be with you, I guess he can have the room meant for your elven friend.
More than I anticipated. Very good.
Whatever you need, my lord, just let me know. Obviously, I am no longer the head official of this town now that we have a proper mayor put in place. So clearly, I imagine your relationship with Jerak is much better than with myself. But whatever I can do to facilitate a comfortable stay for you here in Korel, just let me know.
Very well.
Well, shall we all go
Yes,
inside
and also, oh, yes, can you please find a place for my lovely wife, where she might maybe meet some of the other townswomen?
So, Pulaski has been a little bit sullen since you've left Kralin, not really making it too mysterious as to why, kind of low-key sliding in and mentioning that leaving Kralin and the castle for a partially reconstructed, burned-down town was not her favorite idea, the whole entire way here, making that very well known. As she's actually now arrived and glancing around from the back of the wagon, that doesn't seem to lift her spirits by any means. So she kind of like half-heartedly gets out, kind of looks around, dusting off her traveling clothes, looking over at Jerak, kind of giving you a cool gaze, not an angry one, but just kind of a not quite satisfied look, before she kind of like puts her chin up and begins kind of wandering throughout the town. Jerak, you have a
normal look.
It's quite lovely, Mayor Jerak. She'll make a great mayor's lady.
Well, I'm certain that she can handle the finances and bookkeeping of the town. She always did that for the tavern I previously ran. So I'd like you to include her on as much of it as you can.
I certainly won't say no to help as long as she is proficient. So I will get to work on that as soon as she warms up to the place, I imagine.
Oh, she'll do great. She's so excited to be here, I'm sure.
Clearly. Okay, well, let's get inside. We'll get you all caught up, boss. So he kind of turns, going in. Adam, at this point, kind of looking around a little bit, calling out to you real quick before you depart. Should I just unload? What should I be doing?
Rowley needs some help, I'm sure.
Acquiring drink?
Yes, Adam, you don't drink enough, and that's a problem, so we need to fix that.
Kind of looks around and looks down at the horse, and he kind of like shrugs at the horse, like, I guess I don't drink enough, he's right. And then he kind of like hops off his little like perch that he's put on the wagon so that he can drive it more comfortably. And then hops down again, kind of just like happily moving his way into the Great Hall. So, Rolly, did you step in to procure yourself a drink?
A dwarf and a gnome enter the bar.
Followed by another dwarf and a very fat man. But so the Great Hall's main room, it has like a nice long kind of fire pit running through the center of it. That's used for various things like cooking and warmth and light throughout the night. So that's, actively kind of being used to some degree. Like, not the whole fire pit is ablaze, but certain parts of it have kind of been lit up, and people are, like, kind of, stewing some soup for the afternoon, or, getting a pot of tea going. There are various, like, tables and benches kind of scattered around the room, some bedrolls and whatnot still kind of lingering from the time that it was the barracks, more or less, for the town. But there are a few women and townspeople and men, kind of moving about, drinking, like a normal kind of tavern scene that you've seen a million times. But the faces are very like jovial and accepting and inviting, having recognized you all from being the heroes of Korel and their previous overseers. There's lots of tankards being raised to you, Jerak, as you come in, clearly having been announced as the new mayor of the town, which, as far as you can tell, is going over fairly well with the populace. No one seems to have any sort of ill meaning behind their kind of praises. But unless there's like anything particular you guys are doing, Croak's going to kind of like gather up a few drinks, invite you all to kind of move into his kind of office more or less. It's really just a corner of the Great Hall where he's kind of like set up a table and a desk and some shelves and like books and ledgers and stuff, to kind of have like a more close conversation about things you may have missed. So you can either kind of join that or do something else, go check out your rooms, talk to the townspeople, whatever you guys want to do.
Town management stuff would be the only thing I can think of.
I would like to. What's his name? Is he still running the shop in town?
Hawthorne?
Yeah.
I mean, to the best of your knowledge, yeah. You could go look.
No, drink first.
Okay.
What time is it right now?
So you guys are arriving in like the afternoon, a little bit towards evening. It's probably like 6-ish right now.
Yeah, I mean, the town's not that big from one side to the other, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's only like 5 or 6 structures, so.
Yeah, I'll have a quick drink and maybe before dinner I might go over there and see if he's in. Okay.
So Jerak, I'm assuming you're going to speak with Croak, and then Valor, is anything you're doing in particular?
I'll actually hang with Jerak until and unless he indicates that he wants a more private meeting just because I'm interested in governance.
Okay.
But not staying more to the background of the mayor.
Sounds good. Rolly, we'll go with you first, seeking out Hawthorne. So after getting a drink and kind of mingling a little bit with the townspeople, some of them kind of re-expressing their gratitude and their, kind of acceptance that you guys are back and returning, and it's nice to see you again, and kind of retelling tales of how they got here and things that have happened. They're pretty mundane and boring stories, but you listen to them politely, as one should. But eventually, after finishing some food, maybe gnawing on some of the bacon sandwiches that had been prepared for you at Castle Kralin, you leave the Great Hall, kind of looking around the kind of center of town, and off to the eastern side of the town, kind of far away from the more kind of meeting area in the middle. You see that kind of a smaller cart, half covered with various goods kind of darted around it, has kind of been set in place inside one of the ruins of the previous buildings that were there. And just kind of quickly glancing over it, there's this clutter of various objects kind of placed on the loose stonework and the door frame that's now kind of toppled over. And if you had to hazard a guess as to where a shop might be, that's kind of where you would go.
Yeah, so go up to the door. Is it open, or is...
So there's a small cart that's kind of covered, and then a little wooden place staircase leading up into that. There's blinds that are kind of been put in place over the cart's entrance to kind of create a small room inside of the cart. Outside of that, there's shelves and boxes and crates kind of spattered around the area with various ingredients and bottles and knickknacks and pendants kind of spread around there. So more or less, the actual structure is the small cart.
Yeah, I would knock on the shutters, or whatever I could to see if anybody's in there.
Okay, so as you approach, very quietly but slowly growing louder, you just hear a and as you come up and you knock on the wood, you hear a oh yes, one moment, and you hear a little bit of cluttering around, and then you hear a bunch of crashing balls. Oh fuck! And then you hear a little bit more rambling around, and you see the cloth kind of banging around, and maybe an arm or an elbow kind of sticking through the flap. For eventually the familiar face of Hawthorne kind of sticks through the kind of curtain, more or less. The kind of nice long reddish beard and the monocle he always has in place, kind of squinted into his eyes. He looks a little bit bedraggled, but he's quite up and active and ready as he sticks his head out. He's "Welcome to Hawthorne's Trinkets. Master Rolly, welcome back, sir. Welcome back."
So, quick point of order before... Those healing potions that we got from him
did not achieve the full healing potion effect, yes.
I'd reach up and grab him by the front of his collar and just bring him nose to nose.
Mm-hmm. As you grab him, he goes "Oh!"
Those healing potions you sold us, they didn't heal as much as they were supposed to. I don't know if you watered them down or what, but I'm letting you know now that there's two things that's going to happen. Either you give me a great deal on something that isn't bullshit, or I want at least half of my money back for what we paid for those.
So as you pulled him forward...
While I'm holding it, I'll let him go back an inch or two, and I'll just gnaw on my sandwich while I'm holding him.
Okay. As you kind of yanked him forward, his monocle had kind of dislodged, kind of swinging from the chain that's clipped to the front of his shirt. And you could see genuine kind of panic in his eye. As you yank him forward, you distinctly see his right hand kind of darting into his chest pocket, clutching for something under his shirt. His hand still kind of sitting there clutched as you kind of slowly let him back. His hand kind of pulling away from it as well. He, reaches up with his other hand to put his monocle back in place, kind of straightening his clothes, kind of moving your hand a little bit out of the way so you're not pulling on the chest hairs. But as he leans back, Master Rolly, all of my potions are sold not with the guarantee that they work, but that they have some sort of effect to their original nature. The fact that they didn't heal all the way, maybe they had lost some shelf life. I mean, they might have been expired for all they know. I mean, all the goods that I sell are perfectly fine and fit when I sell them. I don't quite know how long you had onto them before you sold them, but I certainly...
I'm gonna grab him by the crotch with the other hand.
Okay.
Realize that with a word I can melt this off.
Roll me intimidation. Nice. So, as you reach through the cloth, kind of grabbing what you imagine to be his manhood, the family jewels, you see him kind of like stiffen straight a little bit more. You see his hand that was kind of relaxing out of his shirt, kind of re-tighten again inside, still clutching something that you can't quite see. And he kind of like bunches up a little bit, like kind of waiting for the pain to occur from you squeezing. But he kind of like holds for a moment, kind of nodding, just like, Master Rolly, I am more than willing to facilitate some sort of agreement to make you happy with your purchase. I have plenty of coin or many things that you might be interested. I would just, if you would please. Oh, thank you, sir.
And then we are in agreement. What do you have new in stock then? What's interesting? What bargains do you have for me, now that I've come back to you safe and sound?
Well, I'll try not to comment on the safe and sound potentially coming from the health potion that I sold you, but let's just forget that. It's in the past, Master Rolly. It's in the past, but I'll be honest, I don't quite have anything too spectacular in Hawthorne's trinkets and puppets. There isn't a lot of high rollers here in Korel. Mostly I'm just grabbing cooking ingredients for various old women who have nothing better to do than harass me about this, that, and the other thing, or the quality of my rosemary. God, fucking Margaret. Anyway, I've been trying to collect a few things that might interest you upon your return. Let me step out real quick. I'll show you what I have. So, as he kind of, like, moves past you, you see his hand finally coming out of his shirt, and he kind of, like, wipes it on his shirt, and you see a small bit of kind of, like, gray residue being left on the fabric, but he kind of, like, cleans it off, wipes it off the shirt, stepping out of the cart, straightening everything, straightening his pants, making sure that everything's where it should be, readjusting the monocle, kind of getting himself back into his more presentable manner. Well, Master Rolly, I have more health potions, but I think that potentially that might be a sour spot between us, so we'll find something else. And he kind of like walks around to the back of the wagon. You see him like digging through various crates and whatnot. And he pulls out what looks to be kind of like a spyglass, which wouldn't be a familiar sight for most people. I would definitely say that the dwarven people, who were a bit more engineer-minded than the kind of general populace of Asmiliath, would probably know about them, have seen them, or kind of just, kind of know the function of them. So it pulls out the spyglass, kind of like, it's a telescopic one that kind of extends out. He kind of like pulls it out, kind of shows it to you, kind of turning it around, and he goes, "This is a spyglass of magical detection. I thought an adventurer such as yourself might have a use for it."
Well, I know what a spyglass does. What does it magically detect?
Well, it's simply, you're a cleric, right, Master Rolly? That is your purpose. You serve the First Mother, God's grace, glory in heaven, yes? Well, if you're familiar with the identification or the detect magic spell, it's very similar to that. You simply look through the lens. It doesn't actually make things appear closer as a traditional telescope might. That purpose, it doesn't quite function that way. But if you look through the lens, it allows you to see if something is magical without actually having to cast the spell.
Not sure how useful that would be, given that it's not very hard for me to cast that spell to begin with. Ooh, how much are you charging for this?
Well, considering that we have an excellent working relationship and that we are moving forward as friends and the heroes discount that I am always willing to give the heroes of Korel, 50 gold pieces.
That's exactly how much you charged me per healing potion.
Rolly, I have a great memory. I'm a gnome. We remember absolutely everything. I don't remember charging you 50 gold pieces for help, but if I did, I am a much better salesman than I actually am.
What else do you have?
Well, as I said, I couldn't really procure anything too exciting. I've only been back and forth to Korel and here, so my market's a little bit shallow. This really is the only kind of adventuring magical item that you may be interested in, unless you need kind of like generic potions of healing.
Be all then. I'll talk to my friends and see if they're interested in this. That was the one warning. If anything else I ever buy from you is defective, well, it won't end as friendly as it did today.
Noted. As a master merchant,
Yes.
the main rule that you live by, do not screw over the same customer thrice.
Yes, I came back to you healthy, in spite of your potion, not because of it.
Well, I will not be quoting you for my sales pitch, Master Rolly.
Maybe not this time. As always, tomorrow. Good day, Master Hawthorne.
Good day, Master Rolly, and welcome back. Okay. So we will hop over to Jerak and Valoran, who have sat down with Croak, kind of spreading out the various papers and whatnot that he had kind of prepared, the kind of general town management things he used to go over each and every day. So he kind of sits down, drinking from the ale that he acquired, kind of moving through the Great Hall. Seemingly, it's a kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Generally accepted that if you ever see Croak walking through the Great Hall, you just stick an ale in his hand and let him go about his day. But as he sits down and kind of takes the first sip, kind of relaxing a little bit, like rubs his chest a little bit, just, okay, well, boss, there's been a few different things, and if you'd like, I can just fire them off at you, and you can tell me what interests you, or if you have any sort of ideas or things that are needed, or any sort of addresses that you may need to make, or if you want anything that you might need, I can certainly help facilitate, boss, but just let me know how you want to go about doing this, and we will get this sorted out.
Well, as always, hit me with the problems first, and then we'll work towards the good things.
Alright, boss, that's what I like, dealing with the hard stuff first. I've never gathered you as a man who is afraid of dealing with the hard work. But anyway, the first thing that comes to mind that has been semi-problematic is, old Greg is as nice of a man as he is. He's a bit of a talker, if you haven't gathered that as much. His previous workforce that he kind of relied on before the ogre attack, most of them attempted to defend the town once we were attacked, so not a lot of them made it. Now he's working with volunteers, elderly, very young, none of them quite knowing how to wield a saw or an axe, so the lumber we've been getting out of the lumberyard has been rough, to put it as nice as I possibly can, most of it being rather unusable, and old Greg, he seems to try to convince me that with time it will get better, and the lumber we're wasting now is just having to get them trained, but it certainly is making constructing new buildings and putting forth trade and making any sort of money for the town rather difficult, because that is our main source.
Okay, easy enough. We have in tow quite a variety of artisans and some laborers. We will need to split them up according to needs of the town, but lumber, of course, will be the primary one. The unusable lumber we have, if we can find anyone who can create small knickknacks, if you will, decorative pieces, we can get them working on that, and that can be sent to Kralin to be sold to people who have the extra funds lying around, ergo the nobility if possible. And it will give them some more experience working with the local woods, so that way they know what they can expect whenever they start working on larger pieces.
I did hear about.
You can incorporate.
No, go ahead, Mayor.
Oh yeah. Do you think you can incorporate them in easily enough? Not to say that Greg is doing a poor job. Of course, he's working with the best that he can, but also keep an eye out on some of these new recruits and see who we can put with Greg to perhaps facilitate some new ideas, if necessary.
I certainly think that is a very sound way of handling it, boss. I did hear from the message from the Duke that we were requiring a bit more skilled labor, and that is sorely needed here, so that is a very welcome sight indeed, and I think that probably is the best way to help facilitate making them more comfortable here and finding a good way to use their particular skills. So I'll certainly follow up with that and make that my first intention. There is one thing I should mention. After the Golden Hearts, or the Rolling Stones, or Golden Hearts, correct at this point? Yes, boss?
Yes, we've been officially recognized under the Golden Hearts name. You may have noticed the wagon outside. Thank you, Valorant, by the way. Has the symbol emblazoned upon it, so that way we might grow in our good deeds. The people may know. I'm trying to think of the word fame. There we go. Then we might grow in our fame.
Well, let me... What's the word I'm looking for? Compliment your success, boss. It is always great to see a hard-working man such as yourself rewarded for his valiant deeds.
I'm gonna put the Crown of Memories on real quick. Not use it, just like... Yes. Okay. Yes, indeed.
Kind of like looks up at it. It's like very regal side. It very fitting. Well, anyway,
what else do you have for me?
Yeah. After the Golden Hearts returned, one of the unkindly treated souls that came from the monastery has decided to stay here long term, and we welcome anyone who wants to stay in Korel as long as they carry their weight, but he seems a bit touched from the events that he went through up in the monastery, and he's causing some distress to the other townspeople.
Is he a danger?
I wouldn't describe him as a danger, more an emotional nuisance.
Is he just a burden, then?
I guess that's an apt summary, yes, boss.
I see. What has he been saying?
Just talking about the... Korel is going to be murdered again, the world's going to end, we're all going to die. Things that generally don't help uplift the spirits of a town that is desperately trying to regain a foothold in life. So it's a small problem.
Well, Croak, we have come to learn some things regarding some unfortunate problems popping up around the world. One thing I will tell you that you should know, and the reason I asked for a palisade in the first place, Croak, there's actually a roving band of marauders running around into the mountains at the moment, not far from Dragoncliff Mines. So the people need to be a little on edge because the threat of attack is very real. It may be something that you want to start preparing for.
Boss, I do agree with you that defense is necessary, but there's no escaping the fact that the people in the town currently are not fighting men. They wouldn't put up much of a resistance anyway, so a palisade is not going to stop a roving band of brigands or mercenaries or anyone trying to do us harm. They would simply push their way into the town and take what they want. Like, we are distinctly lacking any sort of arms or military means to defend ourselves. We are kind of sitting ducks out here, more or less.
Fair enough. I will think on that, and we'll see what we can do about that later then.
I have petitioned Duke Braun on several occasions to maybe detach some of Kralen's city guard to come up here, but he seems rather resistant to it. I can't blame him. Not a lot of wealth coming out of Korel, so it's not particularly worth protecting in a financial sense.
That's fair. Once we begin to generate some income from the knickknacks and whatnot, and we can get the lumber in full swing, that may change.
Well, I imagine that your relationship with Duke Braun is better than mine. Or not.
Maybe... It's fine now, Croak. But so that should take care of your the labor issues for the lumber yard. And I believe we have like blacksmiths and stuff.
There was stone cutting equipment sent with you, and a few stonemasons.
Okay, gotcha. And good news, we can start getting some more permanent structures set up once the lumber workmen are put to good use. So, what else is currently going on?
The last thing, which is very, very minor. I don't want you to feel like this is anything that you have to handle personally. I've been handling it rather well myself, but it is concerning our new merchant, Hawthorne.
Oh, he was able to set up shop. Excellent.
Yes, he has been facilitating some economy here in Korel. He's making regular trips back and forth to Kralen and taking shopping lists from the populace and fulfilling orders, and going more or less smoothly, and I'm very welcoming the small morale boost that it gives to the people around here. But there was a small problem where he sold a fake love potion to Mrs. Colnell, and she tried to force herself on old Greg, and it did not go well. I made Hawthorne pay her reparations. Sorry, I'm not a learned man. Words are very difficult to me. But the situation has been handled, but there is small friction around our small friend.
Oh, yes, he's a bit of a vagabond. I would definitely recommend y'all purchase ingredients with, reasonable expectation, but anything else he has to offer will probably be unnecessary. And also, who needs love potions? No one needs love potions.
Well, not everyone is as charming as you, Mayor Jerak. Or has a wife so lovely.
Well, yeah, I did pick her up when we were both young. It was quite a delight. On that note, we may need 2 beds in my room tonight. Just if there's an extra cot or something we can set up in there.
Well, there aren't a lot of beds to be passed around. I made sure to put beds in the room set aside for you, but I'm afraid I don't have a second bed, boss, laying around for you.
Ah, well then the floor it will be. Okay. Good to know. Well, perhaps we can get Hawthorne to start bringing some more useful items in. I do have, and Jerak would pull out his coin purse, and slide over 300 gold. Like, I have town funds from our adventures, from the original promise that Duke Vron gave us.
He looks at the sum and kind of like nods his head back and forth. He's like, "That is great news, boss. We have been running rather low on town funds, but 300 gold is not going to make a particularly large dent in some of the projects that we need to be working on. But I will not look a gift horse in the mouth, and I'll certainly appreciate your donation."
Well, yes, I mean, I'm sure we can use this for tools, any type of tools that need to be repaired. Have there been any discussions with Dragoncliff Mines? Have you been able to generate any type of trade from them?
Some here and there. We reached out for some stones and cobblestone occasionally. We've traded some lumber back and forth, but from what I've gathered from Mayor Jeremy, I've written back and forth with rather extensively, seems like a very respectable man. Their minds are just kind of reaching their actual efficiency right now, having recovered from the situation you pulled them from. So, not too fruitful yet, but I will keep trying to make that connection stronger, boss.
Excellent, okay. Alright, I'll see what I can do about the madman. Certainly we would never want to simply get rid of someone. That would be highly immoral. But I'm sure we may be able to find a purpose for him. Have you tried to send him out just to gather berries or anything like that? Is he willing to cooperate, or does he just scream doomsday?
He tries to help around, boss. His name is Almos. Some of the townspeople have been calling him armless, and from the distinct lack of his left arm, I imagine that might be some of the trauma that might be haunting him. He does try, but being only armed with one arm, and his spirit's not being too high, there's not a lot of efficiency that can be pulled from him, boss.
Fair enough. Yeah, maybe just stick him on berry gathering duty every day. See if you can send him out into the woods to find berries and increase food supply.
Certainly, and maybe he will serve as a warning to not stray too far from Korel.
I am certain I don't understand what you're talking about, but that sounds delightful. Its purpose, and that's what he needs. Okay. So I think that's the three primary issues right now, right? We got you some laborers, get that started. Found purpose for the crazy guy. Armless, that's hilarious.
Boss, I would not go spreading that around. It is rather mean-hearted.
I will do my best to remember his original name.
Almost, boss. His name is Almost. But the last thing that I would bring up, boss, is I'm more than willing and able to hold down the fort, so to speak, while you are out procuring goods for Korel. But how often should I expect you to return? Should we set up some sort of correspondence? We should establish some sort of working relationship for when you are gone, boss.
Gonna reach into his pocket and pull out the sending stone.
Mm-hmm.
Slide that over. Be like, we'll be able to communicate daily with this. Whenever you need to send something to me, just keep it under 20 words. Keep it 19. 19 words. Whatever you need to tell me. We are going to be setting out, hopefully, and he'll point to Lord Valoran, and hopefully to set up maybe something to where we can import wine and then become a local distributor to other towns. I think that's something we may be able to find some profit in.
Oh, does Lord Valoran own a winery?
Burgeoning winery. Nothing too expansive yet.
Lord Valoran, I did not ask when you came in, but where are you a lord of?
I'm the Count of Cap Almont in Folk.
As you mentioned Folk, you see Croak's gaze kind of like twitch for a little bit, kind of shifts his gaze back to Jerak, and he kind of like, well, boss, I don't know if you've looked at a map recently. Folk is a fair distance, and Lord Valor and I imagine your wine is very tasty, and I'm imagining it's going to boom across the continent, but that'd be quite a long trip to trade back and forth with, Mayor.
No, I'm gonna make Korel great again.
The Art of the Deal, I've read that book.
Don't worry, everything's gonna be great. It's gonna be the best. We're gonna make the best trade deal in the history of trade deals.
Well, Mayor Jerak, as long as you are confident in it, I support you every step of the way.
Actually, Croak, I've been giving this some thought. I would like to give you an official title, and as much as I wanted to call you Deputy Mayor, I don't feel like it really fit the bill. We are going to give you a fun new title of the Prime Secretariat. Congratulations.
He kind of furrows his brow, kind of like itches his beard a little bit. Yes, whatever you think is best. I was kind of hoping to regain my title of Overseer now that you are officially Mayor.
Oh, but Croak, that doesn't sound fun at all.
It's not a particularly fun job, Mayor.
No, but this makes you more approachable.
You are right, boss. It's a lovely title.
Alright, well, we do need to set up a workman somewhere. If you'd be so kind as to show us where we should go ahead and set up all the woodsmen. And then we do have some stone cutters here as well. Preferably something flat and with as little vegetation as possible.
Certainly, that is what I do. So more or less, we'll hand wave away this because, finding the places to stay and all that kind of stuff is usually something inside Croak's wheelhouse. He would now take the time to kind of show you to the various rooms. The main room of the Great Hall is, kind of this large rectangular room, and there's like a second story with stairs on either side of the long walls that lead up to a second story with like a small platform, and then rooms kind of connected to that. But below that are also other rooms on the first floor with various stories leading in that way. Your rooms, the 4 rooms, there's 2 on the west wing and 2 on the east wing up on the second floor. As he goes to show you, they're very bare at this point. They're just a simple kind of like 15 by 10 room, a bed, a small kind of dresser crate thing, it being different for each room. And that's basically it. Nothing extravagant, nothing insane, but just generally a small room to kind of function inside of.
Let me think. Are they any different in sizes?
No, there are 4 of the same size room.
Okay, alright. Good. Good to know, Croak. Thank you.
Okay. Well, you guys are kind of left up to your own devices at this point. Whatever you want to conquer, do, skip through, however you guys want to proceed.
Probably like to go talk to Hawthorne.
Okay. You could reasonably set the timing so that you are approaching Hawthorne as Rolly is leaving Hawthorne, if you want to time it that way, or you can go later.
Yeah. Rolly, how's Hawthorne doing?
He's as slimy as ever, but he had some sort of magic object. I described describe that to him. If it's anything that interests you, it's a bit redundant for me, but I'll leave it to you. Be careful what you buy from that one.
Yeah, those potions I recall that we got from him weren't the greatest. I remember I bought that potion for my eyes, and it was not as useful as I expected.
Like the cheap ale you buy at the fairgrounds, where they're just trying to pump it out in volume, not with any care to quality or... I digress. Yes, just be careful of that one.
Good to know. Oh, Croak has our rooms ready for you, if you want it. And I'm hoping we might be able to have a little bit of celebration tonight, Rolly. I don't know if you'd want to join me with some wine.
I'll join your wine with my ale. Yes, that sounds great.
Excellent. Then I will go check on Hawthorne and see what we can figure out, maybe for him to bring in some new stock.
Head off towards the tavern.
Okay. Valorant, where are you kicking around at this point?
I'm still following the mayor here. I at various points in the conversations, you may hear him or have heard him like sort of sigh through his nose or something like that, but he's just kind of tagging along.
Okay. So Jerak, as you briefly interact with Rolly and then move past him, you see Hawthorne, who was like going to move back into his cart, kind of spying you, kind of stopping for a moment, adjusting his clothing, make sure he's presentable, like looking around to make sure his shop is how he left it, and then kind of waiting for you to approach.
Oh, Valorant, just to give you an idea, we met this fellow robbing bodies to get his various knickknacks, so a lot of what he has is going to be, we'll call it secondhand. But sometimes you can find something fortunate. And then... give him a wave.
Okay. Yeah, so as you turn and approach, kind of waving, he kind of like lifts his hand up, kind of like daintily wiggles his finger back at you, like, "Oh, welcome. I hear that we have a new mayor in town, a new mayor's discount."
Good to know, yes. Hawthorne, just a quick question. I know we had recommended you come out and set up shop. Are you able to go out on your trips to acquire new trinkets much?
Not as much as I would like. Being tethered to one spot is not quite what I'm used to, but I'm trying to get a new system put in place. Mainly, I'm just going back and forth to Kralin, and I have a few contacts there, but nothing too exciting. So, yeah, my stock is a little weak. One thing that I was going to suggest, maybe this could be a nice beneficial relationship for us both, is anything that you bring back that you don't feel like punning off yourself, I could take off your hands and I could sell it for you, and then I could just take a little bit off the top for my troubles, and then you can just keep trailblazing ahead as you do.
Yes, perfect. I actually had a few items I wanted to get off my hands, and a potential trip for yourself.
Well, I'm always ready to see the wide world, but where should I be going?
I'd like to pull out some paper and ink and quill and everything, and draw the approximate location of Double-Headed Sam's cave.
Okay.
And give him an idea of where to go to locate it, along with that back exit that we had gotten out of it. So that way he doesn't have to go through the front. Like, you might find a few things here. We did not explore everything, so of course be careful. But there may be more down there for you to find. Who knows?
I'm not a stranger to delving into various depths, so I'll give it a shot and see what I can find.
Excellent. And then for you, if you're looking to get some new stock, I'll pull out I still have a health potion from Double-Headed Sam's. I'll pull that out, set it down, and say, do you have anything that's at least this quality?
Of course. Hawthorne always has the best health potions around. But I think Master Rowley has bought all of them off of me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, understandable. He would, of course, yes. He's
quite the smart
medicine.
chap. Okay, the one that you created?
Yeah, some of that. I'll pull out that. I'll pull out my empty ogre scrotum sack. What else do I have?
Well, to help make this system...
No, that's all I had.
Okay, well, to help make this kind of a more useful, kind of reoccurring thing, whenever you guys stop in Korel, you can just kind of offload things you want him to sell, and he will sell them at like an averagely decent price for what they're worth, and then give you the coin whenever you guys return back again. So like if you had things in the cart, or if you had like, you know, when I give you like gems worth X, you could give them to him to sell and kind of get like a set amount out of them. So that's kind of what this will end up being.
Okay.
So
cool. Okay.
I don't know how much handmade goods, I cannot speak, will sell around here, but I can bring them around and see what I can get for it. It's very potent looking.
Yes, well, hopefully it doesn't kill anyone. So, but that goes right along with your potions too, eh, Hawthorne? Kind of small punch on the arm.
Kind of like your small punch kind of sends him a little bit farther because of his small frame. He kind of like readjusts, kind of like take a step to keep his balance. Yeah, yes, it's part of the business, Maya.
Great. So yeah, don't feel like you have to stay here all the time. You're still, feel free to roam around, take your own trips to replenish supplies.
I will try my best. It's just that the market here doesn't really require the finer things in life, so I've been keeping it rather mundane for now to make sure my goods actually sell.
good to know. If you really wanted to make some money, probably bandages and healing things would be a good idea for the townsfolk.
Yes, very, very mundane things, as I said.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Hawthorne. Oh, yes, how much for your magic eye?
Oh, the spyglass.
Yes.
It was 60 gold.
I wouldn't have.
Well,
Would I have, when I was. I didn't specifically tell him how much, did I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh, well, how convenient, because I know that your rental of this land is about 50 gold. At least I think that's what I told Croak. I'll have to double check with him.
Now, Mayor, this is a reciprocal relationship we have going on here. I scratch your back, you scratch mine, and we make a decent amount of money together. That is the goal here, so I don't mind paying rent. Not at all, that's fine. 50 seems a bit steep. Maybe we can find a better price for the spyglass, as long as my rent stays acceptable.
Yes, well, moderate pricing is always beneficial.
I'll cut you a deal, Mayor. We'll bring the spyglass to 50 gold.
That barely covers taxes there, Hawthorne.
10 gold is not a measly sum, Mayor. To someone as well off as you, that it might not mean much, but that's a living wage for somebody.
Yes, well, let me double check something. How about this? We'll be reciprocal, and I can offer you 40 gold for the spyglass, and of course, I'm sure Croak will make sure your rent of the land is much more manageable to cover your costs.
Mayor, this is with the discount and all the good relationship we are working off of. I'm into the spyglass 40 gold, so 45 is lowest I can go.
Done. He'll pull it out.
Okay. I'll hand you over the spyglass for 45 gold. Well, Mayor, I think this is the start of a very fruitful venture between us.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Hawthorne, and make sure to check out the cave. You never know what you'll find.
I will get right on that as soon as everyone else's needs are met. Okay.
Valor, anything you might want?
So, in a clear voice, just right there in the middle of this space, Valor says, "Well, Mr. Mayor, Hawthorne here is a known cheat. Seems you're being rather lenient, if I may say so."
I think cheat is a rather strong word.
Don't worry, Valor. Hawthorne knows he's needed here. I'm sure he'll be quite the boon to the growing community.
Or at least we can test the spyglass before we leave.
Oh, yes, good point. And
I am insulted that you would think that anything I sold would not function properly.
I'm gonna test it.
How are you going to test it?
So I'll toss the crown over to Valoran.
Mm-hmm.
And then take a look at it.
So yeah, when Rolly initially detected magic on it, it is this odd mixture of the different schools of magic that kind of swirl around it, kind of giving it off like a kind of consistently white glow. So as you look through the spyglass at it, you do distinctly see the kind of white magical glow off of it.
And then I'll take a look over Hawthorne and his trinkets.
Okay. So as you kind of glance over his shop, you know, a lot of the bottles and potions, you know, glow faintly with magical energy, varying degrees. You know, his whole shop kind of sparkling almost with the kind of mystical energy that kind of floats around it. But as you look over Hawthorne, you see just under his chest pocket a small kind of glowing patch of magical energy, and his monocle distinctly glows with magical energy. But that's all you kind of see as you glance over it.
His monocle and a glowing patch within his breast pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Or within his vest.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm actually taking notes here. Okay. Ah, well, no worries, Valor. It works just fine.
As I said, everything from Hawthorne's trinkets and bubbets works 100% of the time, 90% of the time.
Good to know. Well, thank you so much, Hawthorne. We may speak with you later.
I will be here, ready to facilitate any sort of gold means.
Valorant, how about we crack open that Leadchester 32 and enjoy some relaxing times in the Great Hall?
Can't argue with that.
So you guys are going to all congregate inside of the hall, kind of drinking. So, Rolly, are you cracking open your spiral down ale, or are you drinking the ale from the Great Hall?
No, I think this would be the appropriate venue to lighten our burden.
Okay. So you guys will crack open your respected drinks, kind of gathering. Are you inviting Adam or Croak, or is this a Golden Hearts only meeting?
I'd love to.
Adam is a Golden Heart.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Adam will join you. You guys kind of find like a quiet corner. There is like a dull rumbling of conversation going on in the Great Hall. It's reaching later in the evening now, so the people that don't have homes to go to at this point are kind of congregating here, eating meals, kind of, you know, discussing the day, you know, normal townspeople kind of stuff. But you guys kind of find a corner, kind of settle in. You got beckoning Adam over, who walks over with an empty tankard. His walk is maybe a little sloppier than you're used to seeing, apparently not all that great at holding his alcoholic beverages. But as he comes up, he kind of like his eyes are locked on to Rolly as he continues to move forward. He's like, "Sir, I have never had spiral down ale before. I would love to share it with you."
Yeah, of course. Although I'm capable of drinking all this myself, be happy to share.
It won't take much for me. I'm a very, very, very small man.
Don't sell yourself short, Adam. I mean, you're short, but you get what I'm saying here. Drink one for everyone I drink.
To the Golden Hearts!
Yes, to us.
Kind of like cheers to himself before kind of like holding the tankard out to you. Yeah, so you're gonna pour him the cast or a cup of the spiral down ale.
Yeah.
So as you know, the tradition dictates, you gotta spin the cast to help get some of the stony sediment out of the bottom of it, kind of mixing it into the actual liquid of the ale. You know, pour it out for him. A little bit of sludge kind of coming out to mix in. He kind of swirls it around, looks at it a little bit, takes a sip, and actually gets it down. There's a small moment of him like getting it in his mouth, the kind of grittiness getting over his tongue, and he goes like, another, and kind of like reaches his tankard out again.
That's my boy.
I'll finish mine in round 2.
So this one he gets, and he kind of plops himself down into the corner, kind of between Jerak and Valor, and he's kind of hugging the tankard like he would like a warm cup of tea, and now he's just kind of slowly moving through this one, not gunning it the whole time. But he's kind of finding his own little personal space to enjoy his drink with now.
I'd like to take the opportunity to prestidigitate everyone's drinks to be chilled.
Okay.
And as I go to drink my nice, perfectly room temperature spiral down ale, as the cold hits my mouth, not expecting that at all, I'm gonna spit it all over Jerak.
What the hell?
What the hell? Why did you ruin my ale?
Oh, I thought you enjoyed it with a little bit of a chill in it. I guess I'll try to warm it up a little bit.
Roll me real quick. Just I don't know, an intelligence check to see if you can hit the right temperature.
Oof.
I believe in you. So, that's a 1,
to be
right?
Clear, that is actually a 1, yeah.
Yeah. So, Rolly, as you're staring down into your cup, waiting for your drink to return back to normal, you see a small bit of steam kind of rising from it, and then like one boiling bubble kind of running up the drink and then popping at the surface.
I'm gonna look at him, and I'm gonna, not looking at my mug, but I'm just gonna look at Jerak. I'm gonna pour the rest of the ruined ale out on the ground. I'm gonna reach over and take his glass and finish his ale, or his
wine. Okay.
Sorry, Rowie. Yes, well,
we are friends, Jerak, but we're talking about my spiral down ale. Don't do that again, please.
no, of course not. I'm so sorry. He'll look sheepishly and kind of sink into himself a little bit.
Okay.
I would like to mingle at some point.
Okay.
Do a classic, song, a little bit, and see if I can give a rousing speech to improve everyone's mood.
Okay. Go ahead, give me a performance check. Valerie, doing anything particular during this time?
Just trying to appreciate the wine.
Okay. It's a very fine vintage for what it's worth. God damn, that's nasty. So, Jerak, finding a decent way of excluding himself from the current situation by ruining Rolly's ale, begins to kind of move around the room. Again, this overweight, middle-aged man finding this grace inside of himself that just seems unnatural as he kind of mingles with the people, darting in and out of conversations, breaking out into song, playing his instrument, like just livening up the entire room itself. The townspeople finding another wave of like cries for the heroes of Korel and clanking tankards together. I cannot get words right today. But, so Jerak, as you're moving around the room and the Golden Hearts, you're kind of watching him do this. Eventually, as you're kind of starting to make your way back to the group, when you're maybe like 15 or 20 feet away, one of the townspeople who you distinctly remember you've interacted with, but you don't remember anything particular about him. He's a rather unassumed looking younger man. He's maybe almost like teenage years, like 17 or 18. He kind of steps in front of you as you're moving. You see kind of like an excited smirk on his face. He's like, Jerak, you're back. We must speak. We must speak.
Okay. Yes, young man. Great to see you again. And I guess I'll take him off to the side.
So as you like go to move, you see him like set his tankard down, and he turns and goes, "Woo-hoo!" And then throughout the room, as you guys are kind of looking over the various townspeople, you distinctly see a handful, maybe like 5 or 6 other people, kind of immediately shift their attention to the hoot, place their tankards down, and come moving towards you. The young man kind of leads you into one of the rooms off the main hall. I think you know where this is going. So he goes in, and then Rolly and Valorant, you would see like 5 or 6 various other townspeople moving in behind him. But once you get him alone, he kind of excitedly, like almost hunching over, almost like vibrating with excitement. He's like, "Jerak, we have been working tirelessly since you left. Ever since we've arrived here, we've been talking to people. We've been recruiting people. We are prepared. We are armed. We even have a plan for Croak, that tired old bastard. And then once we are done with Croak, and we gather the rest of the town, we will move on Kraylin."
Yeah, Valorant, you...
I'm sorry, give me a second.
Somebody save my name.
Yes, great job. Well, let's see. You know, fun fact, I love your enthusiasm and everything you've done, and I have actually some good news. So I understand. Yeah, I told all of you that it was Jarell's fault that Korel was destroyed, as I recall.
Yes, the spoiled brat lord. Yes, we got him.
Yeah, and wouldn't you know it, through his own terrible personality and choices, we happen to have been around him recently, and he is now a walking, mindless vegetable, basically. So good news, you don't have to do anything. It was already taken care of. And I just want to point out, there is no chance if you attack Kraylin. We may need to redirect your thinking there. I don't remember if I left you instructions, but it sounds like you may have misinterpreted my intentions there.
But Jerak, you're the mayor now. You're the mayor. You're on the inside. We have people on the inside now. You've worked so hard and so tirelessly for this. This is the time why stop at Lord Korel? Why stop at the corruption of the younger? We should go for the older, the ones that have been in power the longest, who have been feeding off of the youngest, the longest, killing our women, raping our children. Killing our children, raping our women.
Well, yes, indeed. And you know, I'm so proud of all of you. Such a great job you're doing. I think we are too small of a band to actually be successful. You know, I think you should probably start to spread out to other towns with messages of improving the commoners' lives. And you don't need to go into detail how we're going to do that just yet. Let's keep that on the hush. But let's gather more followers to improve the lives of the common folk. And let's see where we are in about 2 or 3 months and see how far you can get this organization. And Jerak will kind of like ruffle around in his pockets real quick and just be like, and you know what? You've done such a great job. I'm going to call you
Jerak, we already have a name.
Oh, thank goodness, yes. What did you go with?
We're the Diesel Flames, from your last name.
That is fantastic, yes, and you shall be the prime flammetariat. You'll give him a smack on the shoulder.
He kind of like gets way too uncomfortably close to your face, and he kind of like puts a hand on your shoulder and like grips it firmly as he kind of lowers his voice. He's like, Jerak, we're going to be the spark that sets this world on fire. You have started something here, and I will see it through.
Yes. So start recruiting. But remember, we're recruiting to improve the lives of the commoners, and only us inner circle here in this room shall be in the know. And we're going to keep it that way for a while.
He kind of nods
stay
along.
Strong.
He kind of looks around at the small gathering, and they all step back, and, like, in unison, they all look down at the ground, and, like, under their breath, they all go, "The fire will burn and we will be cleansed." And then they just disperse. With, like, no other words.
As soon as all of them are out of eyesight, is there, like, a bucket or a barrel in this room?
You have been pulled into kind of like the kitchen area, more or less. So you could reasonably find, like, maybe a bucket with, like, a rotten apple at the bottom of it.
Oh, great. I need to unload everything left inside of me. And have a small panic attack because I forgot that I started a revolutionary group.
The DM does not forget.
Totally.
I told James I've been waiting, like, literal months to get back around to that because you guys haven't been to Korel in so long.
So yeah, I think once he calms down, Jerak will go back to the table. And, no, I'm sorry, I still have to give a speech. Try and give a rousing speech, welcoming new people and current residents, and see if I can maybe utilize my charismatic nature to foster cooperation between them, for the coming days.
Are we going to play through this speech, or are you going to give this speech?
Do you want a speech? Because, oh god, I'm always so... Welcome, new members of Korel. Thank you for joining us in the rebuilding of this beautiful town. All the original members, please stand up and give them a round of applause. Your hard work is appreciated, and to those of you who have put forth the extra efforts, and I will try and lock eyes with all of the people I was just with. Your efforts are recognized and never forgotten as we work towards the improvement of the common people like us. And I'm sorry, that's about all I got mentally.
It's a very Jerak
and
speech.
just try and say, give a few words of encouragement and hope for the future.
Okay, give me a persuasion roll.
Oh my god.
So, Valor and Rolly, are you doing anything during the speech or the meeting of the minds?
Just cheer a little overly loud at every appropriate cheering point.
Okay.
Just sitting quietly, drinking wine.
So despite the small chunk of bacon sandwich still gripped to the corner of Jerak's mouth, he gives a pretty rousing speech with a pretty decent acceptance from the crowd. The various people that he had just met with, whenever they make eye contact, you see them lower their head and muttering something under their breath before looking back up to make eye contact with you. But yeah, once you give your speech, everyone's kind of riled up yet again. The townspeople in the room itself kind of feeling a bit more alive than it was initially. I'm assuming you return back to your brethren.
Hey guys, I have some unfortunate news. So Valorant, to get you caught up, when we originally helped the town start back up, I was in a different place, and may have thrown some accusations to a few of the townspeople regarding Korel and his involvement in the destruction of their town. And it has festered like a wound, and there's now a group of people who may become problematic in the future. I think I've given them a little bit to work with, that maybe I can fuel their efforts into some positive influences, but I may have to deal with that at some point.
I don't follow.
I may have accidentally created a revolutionary band within the town of Korel. Who has it out for Duke Braun. But I am curious how much influence your good friend Duke Solomon has, and if maybe you would like to see if we can get some of these psychopaths to redirect their attention towards your most honored enemy.
So, just to make sure I understand, in recognition for a job well done, Duke Braun made you mayor of Korel. Now there's a band of rebels from Korel in your name that want to take Duke Braun down.
So,
and you'd like to know if I want
yes.
you would like to know if I want you to send them to the county neighboring mine to incite a peasants' rebellion in the county neighboring the county where I am count.
Against Solomon, yeah.
Yes, because they would overthrow one county and then stop. No, Jerak, I don't want you to do that.
Oh, okay. Shit, I'm gonna have to deal with this at some point.
I don't think that you want you to do that. Really, if we take a moment. If they implicate you, if they attack Braun's men and then implicate you, do you remember what that assassin looked like? We've just gotten to a good place with Braun. We've just gotten to a good place.
Agreed. Okay, well, I'll figure something else out then.
This has been very... I've enjoyed watching you work, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, that's all, really. I mean, drink some more wine.
So as Jerak informs Valorant of the small problem that he has caused, Rolly, you're sitting there just kind of like, pretty much knowing that this is par for the course with Jerak thus far, just kind of enjoying your ale. As you do so, you feel a small weight kind of resting against your side as Adam has fallen asleep halfway through his second cup of Spiral Down ale, the tankard kind of like limply resting on his thigh as he's just like nestled against you, which isn't the most comfortable figure to be resting against, but he's rather enamored and doesn't particularly care.
I would have no problem with that. It wouldn't be the first encounter with the drunk I've had. I would just definitely take his ale and finish it for him, though.
Okay. And Jerak, Valorant, are you doing anything at this time? Okay.
Wine, like what? I don't know if Valorant got to drink any of this the first time around.
The Leicester 32?
Yeah.
I can't remember if you... I don't think you were given any when you first had your introduction to the Duke, so this would be your first time tasting it, so...
I know I
split full tasting notes, but is it actually any good, or is it just like, it's fine?
It's definitely above, like, kind of the average wine that you would get at, like, a tavern or an inn. Like, it's definitely more in the realm of, like, nobility and, you know, higher class kind of thing. You would probably know about it, maybe have interacted with it in Folk. You guys kind of have your own different vintages and vineyards and whatnot. This is much more kind of a local taste. But for all intents and purposes, it's a very decent wine.
There might even be something almost quaint about it. Like a French sommelier trying a California wine and being like, acceptable.
Yeah, that's about right.
giving that California wine a lot of credit.
Okay. Jerak, do you have anything else to discuss with the group?
No, but I need to go talk to the fucking Dismal Flames at some point, whenever that becomes available.
Okay. It is kind of getting later into the evening at this point. Everyone's kind of trying to like find their way to their various beds. So if you guys kind of go along with that, you'll go up to your individual rooms, kind of bunk down for the night. Yeah, if that's what you guys want to do, unless there's anything else you need to do. Okay.
Bang my wife.
I was going to ask, is she sharing the room with you? I imagine so.
You know, it's funny. Just as you said that, I realized Valor needs to go make sure that Belgrease is has appropriate accommodations. So we'll each see to our mounts.
Okay.
I was trying to figure out the correlation between Eric doing that with his wife and that sparking your interest in your horse.
They have a deep connection, Belgrease and Valor.
I'm just gonna keep drinking Adam's ale.
Okay. After Adam is stirred, once you guys like begin to kind of move and go about your various duties, more or less, as Adam awakes, he seems to, even within his drunken stupor, kind of almost snap to attention that he hasn't dealt with the cart yet, or the wagon. So he very groggily and sloppily gets up, slurs his words, "Thank you for the ale," kind of giving you this like whimsical bow before he begins heading towards the door off towards the wagon.
Do I trust that he's gonna not screw that up in his current state?
I mean, it's up to you.
I'll go along with him to make sure that he goes where it needs to be.
Okay. So as you step outside, Adam having made a little bit of distance ahead of you, you see that he is hugging like the lower half of the front horse's leg, very gingerly kind of stroking the leg hair down flat as he's like resting his face up against it. He's like, "We've been through so much, and you just keep plodding forward, and that diligence is so respectable. I just want to know I respect you." And then he like reaches up and grabs the reins and then kind of like does a few little tugs to get the horses to start like plodding forward, and you see him kind of begin to lead them off to around the side of the building.
I'm the only one here who's not in love with a horse.
There's so many layers to that line. But Adam is moderately successful at completing his quartermasterly duties. Jerak, moderately successful at completing his husbandly duties. And the Golden Hearts find their way to bed for the evening, sleeping through the night in Korel, having the nice feeling of waking up in a place that is more or less like theirs for the time being. It's definitely not home, but it's better than a camp or a bedroll or a tavern or an inn. It's something more permanent and more fixed than that. But you all rise in the morning whenever you choose to kind of stir awake. The townspeople, basically at dawn, are up and at it, diligently kind of going about their daily business. Croak seemingly never sleeping, as he is already stationed at his desk, kind of dictating to people, answering questions, keeping things in line. But you guys are free to do as you wish at this point.
Find Adam and bring him up. Is there any ale left over?
Yeah, you certainly didn't drink through the whole cask in one night.
Okay. Yeah, I'll bring him a cup of ale.
Okay. So you go to find the cart, which has been, the horses have been taken off and kind of hitched in a small grassy area behind the Great Hall. And the cart itself has kind of been parked behind the building. As you kind of dig around looking for where Adam may have made off to, you find him slumbering in a small, like, nest of cloth in the back of the wagon, not really taking up all that much space, just kind of like creating this weird little, almost like rodent cocoon of various soft things in the back of the cart. He is sleeping rather heartedly as you find him.
Rise and shine.
Wake him up.
So as you go to jostle him, you see his body, like, shifting around, kind of squirming in the comfort he's found himself in, before he, like, cranes his face around just to peek an eye open, and the sunlight of the morning kind of hitting him. He goes,
Oh, jeez. Oh, God. Ow.
No, we should have got you some breakfast.
He looks down at the food and looks back up to you, and he goes like,
No, I gave him the
the ale?
the ale.
Okay, probably the same response. Looks down at the ale, looks back up at you. He's kind of like slowly nodding his head.
Master Rolly, I don't think I need any more.
No, that's just the problem you're thinking. Come on, you want to be a golden heart, you best act like it.
Oh, I didn't know that I had to be an alcoholic. And he kind of like reaches for the tankard. You can see his grip is maybe a bit weaker than usual as it kind of like shakily comes over to him, and he looks down at it. There's a big like, and he like slowly lifts it to his face.
Hair of the dog and all that.
He's really like, oh, yep. Yep. Well, are we departing today, Master Rolly? Or are we staying here? What do you need from me today?
I don't know. Are we departing? Is that in our plans or not?
Well, you might want to ask your brethren.
Had we discussed that?
I think Jerak mentioned to Croak that you might be leaving today, but that's all I remember.
It's quite possible we'll be leaving. Go ahead and, get everything ready for, let's call it a noon departure.
I will get right on that after I retrieve the rocks from my brain.
Yes. In the midst of all that, make sure that we're adequately provisioned with bacon sandwiches. Make sure that they are extra greasy. Love it when I bite into the bacon and it's still fresh and I can see the grease dripping down my chin. Now I'm going to go make myself some nice runny eggs, break the yolk, drizzle it all over the toast.
Where's my dice? Damn. As you continue to describe it, you see Adam kind of licking his lips ever so slightly and kind of like focusing in on your description, and he's almost like hypnotized by your words, kind of leaning forward, taking another sip of the ale, kind of nodding along. He's like, yes. Yes. And I will get right on that. We will, ship shape will be ready to go at a moment's notice.
Good man. Where's Jerak?
So Adam will hop down after you at some point and make his way in to try and secure provisions. But Valorant and Jerak, what are you up to at this point?
I'm actually going to go for a morning ride around the perimeter, like kind of at the edge of the woods. Just what's near town, what's happening.
Okay. Broad strokes.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's there's a rather large clearing around Korel that has basically been formed by the lumber yards and the tree falling that they've been doing to kind of stimulate their industry. That's kind of what the town functions off of. So there's various like old tree stumps and roots and leftovers of following basically an entire forest to build a town. So that's kind of the perimeter you're riding around, and it's kind of a strange sight because the woods are like dense and thick, like it would be like the center of the woodlands, because the unnatural like cutoff point of where the grass starts and the trees stop. And so it almost makes the town feel like there's kind of like a small insulating wall of nature all the way around it that gives it almost like this kind of natural protection, more or less, to some extent. It's definitely a nice ride to kind of jaunt through, giving you both like the town kind of aesthetic and morning rising kind of scenery, and also the kind of nature, birds chirping, twigs snapping off to your right. But as you like go around the circle, over in the southwest of the town, where the clearing and the woods kind of meet, is where the active lumberyard is right now. So as you kind of get towards that area, you hear, trees being chopped, men shouting various things, like timber falling, saws sawing. There's like a small handful of men working around the area, some of them kind of waving at you as you ride by. But that's kind of the high notes.
So since I've happened upon the lumberyard, I've overheard Crotum. What's his name?
Croak.
Croak?
I like
Croak.
Crotum.
Like a frog croak?
Kroak. Croak.
K-R-O-A-K. Sorry, I'm not trying to be a
No, you're
ass.
good.
I
You're
really
good.
couldn't. All right. So since I overheard him talking about the lumberyard is not really producing, then since I've happened upon it, I'll kind of investigate a little bit, just kind of ride around and watch the men work, and just I'm not a lumberjack, but maybe something will stand out to me.
Okay. So as you kind of make yourself more inside of the lumberyard area, again, it's not like a well-defined area, but general area. Watching the men work, various things being moved around. Every so often you'll hear an actual tree fall, but most of it's like dragging and chopping and sawing. Over all of this noise, there's one thing that never ceases. This rather high-pitched, speedy voice from an elderly man who is like kind of all sinew and bones. He looks very lanky and definitely not fit for any sort of lumberjacking role, but he's clearly the one in charge, who's like going around dictating different things, yelling at different guys that are dropping things or not doing particular, like, what he asked and that kind of whatnot. He's kind of dotting around the entire area, trying to get his point across, but seemingly kind of just falling on deaf ears. But that's kind of the scene that you found yourself in.
So it's like he's trying to manage them and they're not listening.
Yeah, more or less. It's kind of the gist you could gather.
Did the things he's calling out seem logical, or does he seem like he's in the way and they're just trying to work around him?
He seems to have the best intentions of facilitating things going well, but he seems to be getting ignored more or less.
Okay. Yeah, alright. Just noted.
Okay. And Jerak, what are you up to this morning?
I need to find my prime flametariat.
Okay.
And, see if I can talk to him for a minute.
Okay. Looking around the general area of the town, staying within the actual buildings, you don't spot him. So you don't quite know where he is. You'd have to kind of look further to find him.
In that case, I'll go ahead and see if I can take my wife on a short tour around the town.
Okay.
And use that as my excuse to be walking around.
Okay. Let me... One second. Okay. Lorna also came with you as well, the late wife of Porter.
Yeah.
So she's here as well. She's very, independent. She's been functioning by herself. But just so you know, she is here.
I'll take her along as well. It's her new hometown, so she should probably get acquainted with the 4 or 5 buildings.
Okay. So yeah, kind of, again, broad strokes with your wife. She is maybe a bit more warmed up to the idea, compared to when you guys were traveling. After, like, seeing the town and interacting with a few of the townspeople last night, kind of getting a feel for a new town, a new start, you know, not having any of the stigma of, you know, the other people she used to know in Thrice Tower. She seems a bit more accepting of this being a decent place to kind of start over again. So she's already kind of talking about, like, where your house should be and, like, what garden she's going to put out in front and, like, you know, the nice little, like, window seating area for the kitchen and that kind of stuff.
Okay. Weird question. Does she seem like she has any magical ability to her?
Give me an insight check.
See,
I mean, as well as you know your wife and the interactions that you've had with her thus far, I mean, nothing stands out to you as particularly magical.
Shit, okay. Another time then. Okay. And then through the walk, am I able to find the guy?
So as you are moving through the various buildings, kind of, you know, mindlessly chattering with your wife, you do spot Valoran off in the lumberyard, again, astrode Belgrease, which is a massive unit of a horse, so it's not hard to spot him. But as you, like, see Valoran and kind of give him a passing glance to just kind of, you know, recognize that it's him, you do see your best friend, working away in the lumberyard nearby Valoran.
Okay. I'll bring my family over with me up to Valoran. Good morning, Valoran. How was your ride?
Good morning, Mr. Mayor. Pleasant enough. Just observing the men at work.
Yes. You know, and pat my wife's arm, and my dear wife, I thought, could help with some of the bookkeeping. It's so great with the tavern and everything. You know, Valoran, do you have any recommendations that you might offer her in running a town and assisting with the bookkeeping?
What comes to mind at the moment is to keep a close eye. I'm afraid that Korel is vulnerable at this time to coins walking away.
Your wife kind of looks between you and Lord Valoran, not quite sure what the hidden meaning is behind the words, but looks up at Valoran. Well, my lord, that's very sound leadership.
Insight.
Okay. What are you trying to discern? Her, like, intentions?
She understands what I'm saying.
No.
Stealing, madam. People are going to steal from the community chest.
Oh, my heavens, why would they steal from the town that they live in?
People are sometimes vicious, selfish. Maybe they don't plan to live here forever. It will happen. Just be aware.
Well, if there's one thing I've learned in my line of work, it's how to deal with men that have ill intentions. So, Lord Valoran, I imagine that, I'll learn the ropes as I go.
Of course.
Speaking of men with ill intentions or perhaps incorrect work ethic, I see someone I should probably go tell to work harder. I will try and slip off.
Okay. Are you heading towards the man you met last night?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So as you break away and go to move towards him, your presence is noted by everyone. Everyone finally actually kind of noticing that you're there. One of particular interest is the sinewy old man that you're semi-familiar with. And as you're trying to get to your intended target, he kind of beelines straight for you, his hand already reaching out as he goes to grab yours as he gets up to you. Oh my God, Mayor! I've been missing you all. The moment I met you, I knew that you were going to be a mayor. I have been telling everybody here, Sir Jerak, Sir Jerak, Sir Jerak, Sir Jerak. He is going to be the leader of this town. He's going to bring us up to all manners of prosperity. They're going to whip this shit into shape. That's what I'm telling you. I'm telling these boys all day, every day, that Lord Mayor Jerak, it doesn't matter. Jerak
yes,
is...
Greg. So good to see you as well. Thank you. Your lovely diction has been lost upon me for so long. I wanted to come over here and congratulate you on a job well done getting things started again. I was going to give some special commendations to one of your men. I saw this one over here. What was his name? And I'll point at my guy.
Oh, him? Oh, that little shithead, that's Dover. He's like a wet hog in a wet blanket. He acts useless. He doesn't do shit. Every time I tell him to saw this or saw that, he looks at me like he was dropped with a bunch of rocks on his head or some shit when he was younger. Like, I cannot get through to him. I don't think he deserves any sort of reward, Mayor Jerak. I think, if anything, you should go clap him upside the head.
Ah, well then reprimandations it will be then. Good. Well done, Greg. How are things going, by the way, with your operations right now?
Well, it's an absolute shitstorm. Shitstorm. Jerak, sorry, I've been trying to quit dipping. It's been taking quite a bit off of my soul, and words don't flow the way that they used to. You know, I was known for an elegant poem when I was a younger lad. I used to tell the ladies all these great hymns and rhymes, and they would swoon and what. Anyway, that's how I met my first wife, and she wasn't very. Anyway, it's going pretty shit here. I've tried to keep my lumberyard in shape, and I run ship shape. Lumber that could make ships for you, Jerak. The best vessels you've seen sail on the open seas, and not a leak on them. The fine craftsmanship. What I'm trying to say, Mayor Jerak. These little shit stains that I've been given, they're not up to stuff. The old man that I had here, the strong working force that I had built years and years and years, knowing them in and out, and I mean in and out, Mayor Jerak. They're no longer here, and I can't rely on their wisdom and their experience.
Greg, I appreciate the hardship you're going through here. Maybe it would be good for me to at least make a show of talking to the young man and him putting some more effort into his work. I think that will go a long way. I think that'll work nicely. I also brought you some artisans to work on the wood. You'll need to show them where the scraps are so they can get to work. And hopefully we can get them up and running relatively quickly. Why don't, and I'll point... Do I see any of the artisans that accompanied us?
They kind of have been mingling around the Great Hall, still kind of waiting on Croak to get to them at this point.
Greg, why don't you run over and talk to Croak? I left him with instructions on what to do with our new citizens. You should probably go get the instructions from him. I'm sure he'll have a few things to tell you.
Well, I can go talk to him, but Croak doesn't really have a lot of time for me. Every time I try and talk to him, he just kind of waves his hand at me, and then I gotta go find someone else to blather on about, and then I'll go talk to him. Mayor Jerak, it is a pleasure to have you back here. I am over the moon that we have this leadership. I think that you're going to be great. I've always thought you were great. I knew there was greatness in you every time I've seen you. I mean, there is so much of you. There's so much greatness in you. Everything about you, Mayor Jerak, I am all the way there for.
Oh, Greg, the chain is only as strong as its weakest link, and knowing that you're here to keep everyone doing their jobs just gives me the utmost of confidence. Thank you so much.
A man's arms is his strength, and my arms are as tough as nails, Mayor Jerak, tough as nails. And then he kind of walks off, like, eyeing you and, like, doing this motion.
And then I'll strode over to Dover.
Mm-hmm.
And be like, all right, Dover, be quiet and just make it look like you're listening to me. And I'll do my arms and broad, dramatic motions, pointing at the woods, pointing at the lumber yards, doing, this, all those good things, and just be like, Dover, I have instructions for you, the diesel flames. After looking at you last night, I know that you're not quite ready for everything we need to do. So what I want you to do is to build your strength physically by working as hard as possible here with the lumber to build up your muscles. For those of you who are not strong enough to work over here, I know we had at least 1 or 2 old women have to start looking at herbs and concoctions and medicine making. I'm sure there's got to be some old wives' tales of various herbs that you can use. Can you do this for me? Can you be what I need you to be?
Diligently continuing to pretend to work and doing a piss poor job of it. He kind of is nodding along as you speak. Yes, Jerak, I will be your champion. I will be the burning flame on the end of your sword that strikes true in the heart of villainy in this realm. And I will make sure that all the wisdom of our elderly is put forth into the brewing of potions and ointments that will spread disease and ilk through the nobility that suppress us every day of our lives.
Listen here, Dover, it's not just about getting rid of the nobility. We're here for the people too. If we tear down the system and leave nothing but ruin in its wake, then who really caused the suffering at that point? It would be on our hands. We must make sure that there are systems in place to keep them going afterwards. We cannot start a fire without first making sure the hearth is properly set.
He kind of looks at you and nods at the words. He's like, I like it. But Sir Jerak, when the fires burn and there's only ash left, you will be the phoenix that rises from them, and you shall lead us, our great and glorious leader. We will bestow upon you every title that we can imagine so that you can lead us into a better age.
But first, you must be stronger. Build yourselves. Take no action until we are truly ready.
Kind of nods along, and as he does, he rhythmically nods with each sawing motion, and it kind of gets more vigorous as you continue. And he's like, yes, I will do this for you, Jerak. And he continues to keep sawing this lumber, maybe a bit too vigorously. It's a little bit of a wanky line, but he's trying.
Dover, if you cannot even saw a log correctly, how can I trust you with this? Show me your devotion. I will check back with you within a month's time. You may see a message from me through Croak's sending stone.
I will eagerly await your instructions, Jerak.
I look forward to your service. Thank you. And just yell out loudly, and that's how it's done in a proper manner. Make sure you remember.
Yes,
Well
Mayor
done,
Jerak,
well.
I'm so sorry.
Tootle my ass back over to the Valoran and family.
Okay.
Oh, well, hard, help can be hard to get sometimes, but I think we'll have a good batch after a little proper motivation.
Indeed.
Well, Valoran, if your rounds are done, I think we may wish to, speak with Rowley. I know we have quite a bit to get to. And my dear, I apologize, but we may have to leave you here to acquaint yourself with the townsfolk for a short amount of time.
Oh, don't worry, honey bun. I gotta recover from last night anyway.
Oh. And, I don't know, one of those big sloppy kisses that just, third party, if you see people doing it, you're just oh god, why?
Already moving off. Moving away here.
Okay. So, convenient timing. Rolly as you depart Adam, looking for Jerak and Valoran as you return back to the town. You all kind of roughly end up right in front of the Great Hall, more or less, as you convene.
Well, set Adam towards preparing for departure. I'm a little fuzzy on the details. I don't remember if we talked about leaving today or not, but I figure no harm in getting him woken up and moving. He looked a little rusty.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can't really hold his ale very well from last night.
At least a small thing. We need to build up his tolerance.
Well, I did tell him to stick next to you and learn how to drink more, so hopefully, nothing wrong can come of that.
I'll turn him into a dwarf yet.
Well, Valoran, hopefully you've enjoyed what you've seen of Korel so far. I know it's not much, but we are working on getting rebuilt. And hopefully, whenever we make our way over to Dragoncliff Mines, we might find a little bit more civilization.
I have... Well, I was going to say I have no complaints, but it's not quite true. But they're not worth bringing up.
Well, what I'm trying to get at is we've done a decent job, I think, at helping towns in peril. And I'm hoping that as you see some of the work we've done, you gain some confidence in us to help you with your problems involving your family.
3 steps forward and only 2 steps back.
That's at least a positive gain.
It is.
Well, Rolly, if you have nothing else left in town, we should probably settle our affairs and maybe start to head out. See if we can't make some of the distance up. Though I'm not sure where Thor is. His bear is pretty good at showing up, right?
It's always been there, so it appears it's following us, so I wouldn't worry about the bear, but I am a little worried about the consequences of our previous actions, or your previous actions. Have you handled that?
I believe I have, yes. I think I may have guided their efforts towards something a little more productive for the time being. And don't worry, Valoran, I'm not sending anyone out your direction. So your people will be safe.
It's really your people that I'm concerned with. Although, it occurred to me after we went to bed last night that their fervor might be turned usefully into being town guard one day.
Well, yes, they definitely have a strong desire for some sort of militant action, so some patrols will probably be pretty useful. And he'll reach around. Oh shit. My wife is still there, right?
Well, I assumed, after your departing word, she went into the Great Hall.
Okay, thank God. Yeah, so I'll pull out the journal with the papers and be like, so I don't know if y'all had a chance to look over these, but there was some mention of that bandit group near Dragoncliff Mines, so that actually might be necessary sooner rather than later.
Do I have any knowledge of Leonin?
So the kind of general knowledge that you would all know about these half animal, half human creatures, or I guess races, before the Great Entrance, which again is that kind of giant explosion up in the northeast of the continent that kind of dispersed a lot of monstrous beasts and terrifying things across the continent. After that, before that, the mixed races of like, you know, the Leonin and the is it the Leodon or what is the elephant one? I think I wrote this down somewhere.
The Loxodon.
Loxodon, yeah. The Loxodon, like that kind of thing. They, you know, functioned within society fairly normally. There was no real ill will towards them. But after the Great Entrance, the, you know, public opinion of these kind of half-beast races kind of just being amongst the general populace was kind of frowned upon, and they were kind of exiled from normal society. And, you know, through the, you know, 300 odd years after the Great Entrance has happened, where you guys find yourself currently, they've kind of been forced farther and farther back away from society as a whole, and now they mainly just function within the general area known as Aether. It's just full of like gnolls and hyenas and wargs and goblins and hobgoblins and that general ilk that society doesn't really want to see. So at this point, what you would kind of know or assume about Leonin, or, you know, races of that kind, is they're rather like tribal and brutal and warlike, just due to the environment they've kind of been forced into. If that helps.
Yeah, good stuff.
Okay.
I just wanted to know if I was like, Leonin, what's that? Or
yeah, so you would know what they are. I don't know if you'd ever have interacted with one, but you know what they are.
Okay. Valoran says, "Well, we're here until your business is complete. I'm prepared to set out at any time."
Well, then that sounds good. Let me confer with my Prime Secretariat, and I will go ahead and be out shortly. Perhaps let's get some water into Adam if we can.
Ale has water in it. It's only natural.
Well, you are the expert, Crowley. That is true.
Well, indeed. Many years.
Okay, so you're gonna go and find Croak? Okay, so he is at his desk, you know, diligently working away as he always seems to be doing. You know, not even really looking up from his desk as you approach. He's just kind of flipping through different pieces of parchments, writing things down in ledgers, that kind of thing.
Croak, good morning to you.
Oh, good morning, boss. Hopefully you found your rest in your room well.
Yes, I achieved as much rest as I could. A couple of rests, if I may be so bold, but we have some things to take care of, so unfortunately our time will be cut short here, but I will need you to bring my wife into the fold on some of this paperwork to help get her more in tune with the townspeople, and I think you will find my daughter should find, be relatively useful cleaning this place up. Just because they are the mayor's family does not mean they get to do nothing. I am certain that they will be happy to help out.
Well, I think the general populace will enjoy seeing the mayor's wife hard at work, so I will certainly find some faculty that she can apply herself to.
Just a
excellent
point of order. Every town has a house dedicated to the leader of that town, is it not correct?
Yes, and once the Great Hall is not needed for stowing away the villagers at night, I imagine that the mayor will kind of take it over more completely.
Okay. Just making sure. How should I say this? Make sure you don't demean her with the work. It would, after all, not be fitting for her to be put to peasant tasks, and might lead to some resentment. She's new here and will be losing her husband for the time being, so be careful not to anger her. We're going to have to deal with that when we get back, and Jerak's not happy, then I'm sure we won't be happy.
Well,
Really? Thank you so much. I didn't know you cared so deeply.
I don't
No,
really care.
no, hell is...
But yes, but I just good vibes and harmonization and Adam. Where's Adam?
Adam, who is kind of like stood off on the other side of the room, kind of like perks up as he hears his name. He's like halfway through a very greasy bacon sandwich. And as you like speak, he kind of like swallows what he has in his mouth real quick, like, over here, and kind of begins coming over to you.
Have you made preparations for our departure yet?
Yes, I've secured some provisions, and I've harnessed the horses back up, and there's still a few things I got to square away. I have to unload the various tools that we were burdened with on the way here, but we should be ready to go by noon.
I noticed you were taking a bacon sandwich break. Do you have another?
Well, the rest are in the cart, but you can have mine.
No, not necessary. You finish yours, just making sure there's some there. And, that's all. Never mind.
So Crow, kind of like pausing for a moment to watch this interaction, turns back to Jerak. Boss, I have been around plenty of townspeople, women. I hope that you have enough faith in me that I can put your wife in the correct category of work.
Oh, Croak, I have the utmost faith in you. I'm sure you'll do great. So if there's nothing else you need from me at the moment, please keep me updated each day with the sending stone I gave you. And I will need to go let my wife know that I'll be leaving shortly.
Well, I will continue doing my duties, and whenever you need me, shoot me a message or simply return. We will always welcome you with open arms, Mayor Jerak.
Excellent, excellent. Take leave to go find my wife.
Okay.
What time is it, by the way?
Maybe around 9-10 now. So, do you need to have a conversation with your wife, or are you just kind of informing her that you're leaving and then gathering back up with the group?
Like any wise man, probably would attempt some coitus and then break the bad news after. Just kind of seems like the best way.
Okay. Well, she would be rather spent from the previous evening, so you'd have to just give it to her straight. Not the coitus, but the information.
Okay, well, yeah, my darling, we have some things we need to see to, but townspeople welcome you and are excited to have you. Please be sure to lead the charge in bringing the women together, and when I return, we can hold a great feast, hopefully.
Honey bun, wherever you go, whatever you get up to, just come back with a lot of money. Lots of money, and maybe some jewels for me.
Money and jewels, we do find those pretty often. I'll see what I can do. You know I love you to the ends of earth and back.
Our bond is so strong, honey bun, that I couldn't stand to lose you again.
Excellent. So hard to be parted from you. It's just he cries. I think Jerak would cry.
She distinctly does not cry.
Then he would leave. Oh, go give his daughter a kiss on the forehead. assure her that he did not forget about her at any point.
Quick point of order. If I remember correctly, because I actually didn't write this down, did you bury Porter near Korel after he passed?
I want to say yes, because I'm pretty sure there's no rivers to throw his bones into. So as I recall, yeah, I think I buried him somewhere along the edge of the woods.
Okay. So she would ask where that is and to go pay her respects and that kind of thing.
Oh, yes. Then I would direct her appropriately. And just keep reassuring her that he always loved her, and she was the last thought on his mind before he passed.
Okay. So after dealing with your various family members, you join back up with the group. Golden Hearts reconvened. Adam having the cart kind of fulfilled, with the world at your disposal.
When the group gathers at the wagon again, Valoran is climbing down from the back of it and distributes to each person, including Adam, a signal whistle.
Take the whistle and I blow it as loud as I can.
Valoran plugs his ears.
Adam kind of like looks at Rolly and kind of like follows lead and just like.
Oh, like this.
So as the town is filled with the battle of the whistles, Adam eventually runs out of breath, letting Rolly kind of.
Valoran, take it.
As my late companion would say, it's a poor man's sending stone.
Well, this will work nicely. If we get lost in the woods, we can actually find each other now without having to scream.
Among other things. Well, are we ready?
Yes, I suspect we should head out to Dragoncliff Mines after this. If you have no objections, Valoran, we can see if we can get some... I still need to get the trade routes finalized and everything.
Frankly, Mr. Mayor, so do I. It may be some time yet before we can have a truly productive conversation.
Yes, don't worry. Everything's going to be great. Trade routes abundant. The economy will flourish. People will have their jobs. Everything will be wonderful. It'll return to the best days it's ever been.
Spoken like a hopeful lord.
So the party is moving to Dragoncliff Mines, as far as I can gather. So let's go ahead and... What did I just do? Okay. Drag you back.
I got a quick DM question.
Okay.
There was an axe.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been looking through to see if I can remember if we ever gave it back to Hawthorne or not, and I know we confirmed it's his, but I cannot find anything if I confronted him about it. Do you recall?
Yes, so when you guys were coming back to Korel the second time, after defeating the ogre, you found him digging through one of the ruined houses, had an interaction with him. That is where you figured out more or less that it was his. You tried giving it to him. He kind of politely declined it. And I think that's roughly the gist of that interaction.
Okay, then I must have left it, like, on a floor building or something. Okay. That sounds correct. Okay. Cool.
Okay. So from Korel to Dragoncliff Mines is 2-3-ish days of travel. So are there anything that you guys are doing during that downtime? Any particular interest you're pursuing?
You said 2 to 3 days?
Yeah, roughly.
Okay. I'll try hunting again.
Okay. Roll, are you tagging along as well?
I would ask if I could lead the hunt this time and have him help me.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. What weapon are you wielding for this, Rolly?
Oh. I think I only have one. Unless I could use this. Unless I could use the sphere for that Valorant was using. I would.
You got javelins
have,
for that, yeah.
Yeah, I would only have my warhammer, but I would, if we had something more suitable to hunting, I would use that.
Okay, so you'll use a javelin, I imagine. So yeah, go ahead, give me survival with advantage, and then dexterity. And Jerak, is there anything you're doing during the travel?
I'd like to read Broly's medicine books. I believe I read half of them previously,
Mm-hmm.
and I still needed to go through the other half.
Okay. I think in the item description, I put it as a DC 12 intelligence to be able to read it. You might want to double check that. It should be in the description of the item, but go ahead and roll for that if that's your intention. So with a... Okay. So Rolly leading the charge this time, or leading the slow crawl more likely, trying to again find a reasonable spot to potentially find a hog's den or the general location of one. You guys find yourself in a familiar scene that you had found the first time, you know, trodden, turned up earth, you know, various like roots and stuff kind of ripped from the ground. And you follow this kind of disastrous path to its conclusion, where you find a small bunch of hogs kind of stuck into the shrubbery in the middle of the woodlands, and you know, Rolly kind of making his way forward. He goes to jab with the javelin, kind of missing his mark. But the fact that there's multiple hogs kind of spewing from the shrubbery, one of them kind of runs right past you, Valorant, and I will give you a chance to attack it. Are you wielding a javelin? Are you wielding your normal weapon? What do you want to say that you have in your hand?
Javelin.
Okay, so go ahead and do like a standard attack roll. Did you really fail the DC for reading the books?
It's actually a 10, not an 11.
Yeah, okay. So yes, as the hog comes barreling past you, you attempt to like strengthen your resolve and like jab down at it, trying to get the one strike, the one chance you have as it darts past, but you only manage to kind of jab through a leaf, kind of pinning that to the ground as the hog kind of disappears into the shrubbery behind you. So another successful hog hunt. But yeah, so Jerak, as you spend the downtime during travel trying to gain the information in these books, trying to kind of, you know, parse together what it's, you know, trying to just bestow upon you, anything besides the pictures are hard for you to truly comprehend in any sort of reasonable way. So you're kind of left just like reading them and knowing you've read them, but not really retaining any of the information.
I mean, there was that flower that looked kind of like a butthole, but shit, what did it do? I got you.
So, about a day and a half into traveling, it's been, you know, a whole day. You're now maybe early morning of the next. You guys are plodding along, having kind of gained a routine when it comes to traveling. Adam very much kind of taking not a leadership role, but very much like the dictating role of, you know, when we get up and when we go and how far we travel and where we stop, you know, very much fulfilling the quartermaster role that he has found himself in. But Rolly, are you still kind of sat beside him in the cart or in the back of the cart as you travel?
No, I'd be next to him. As a matter of course, I think we're starting to develop a thing.
Okay. So as you guys are plodding forward, you see Adam kind of like twitching slightly, and it's hard to catch, but the fact that you're sat beside him for hours on end, it becomes noticeable eventually. After a few of these kind of weird twitching outbursts, he kind of leans over to you and very quietly is like, Master Rowley, do you hear that?
Hear what?
Give me a perception check.
He forgot to buy Rolly a horse before we left town.
Oh shit, that was in the things to do, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Well, dock one for Adam.
Looks like Rolly forgot too, so...
just demote him. He's an 8th master. Okay.
That was a math joke.
Yeah. Thank you for pointing it out, because it makes it that much funnier. But, yeah, so, Rolly, as you sit there kind of straining to see if you do hear anything that kind of stands out from the ordinary, you swear, like on the edge of your hearing, that you just hear this, like, and, like, it's so faint that it could be, like, white noise that your, like, ears pop from the elevation or something. It's far enough away that you're not truly confident that you heard something, but there's something there.
Yes, I almost hear this. Sounds like whispering or something.
I've been hearing it for the last couple of hours, and I'm concerned. I feel off.
Well, we'll keep our ears open, but Adam, it's very important. Like most things, the problems don't get better with time. The next time you hear something strange, tell us right away. Not 2 hours later.
I didn't know what it was, and I didn't know. It only really started concerning me now that it hasn't gone away.
You're a golden heart now, Adam. That means that you're on the road, and our ability to make money depends on our ability to survive, and you have to start paying attention to that little voice in your head, especially if you hear it talking. Speak up. If the worst that can happen is we'll tell you to shut up, but it's a good plan.
Noted. I'll speak up sooner, but it is odd, right?
Odd is one word. Creepy is another.
Creepy things seem to follow our particular band. This is normal.
Oh, absolutely. Every fortnight at least. First there was some sort of dragon thing, and then, let's see here, there was the creepy ghost with the head falling off that, and there's bears and turtles. Yes, quite a common occurrence.
Oh, bears, turtles. Oh my. I see why you drink now.
Speaking of which, pull out my flask.
Okay.
Improves the hearing I found.
Really, opens up the senses.
Ah, yes.
So, Jerak and Valor, I imagine you guys are riding close enough to overhear this conversation if you wanted to interject at any point.
Oh, in that case, I would come to a stop and watch Belgree's ears.
Okay. Okay. So are you commanding everyone to stop or just you stopping?
I might just say stop.
Okay. So Adam, kind of pulls back on the reins, halting the wagon, you stopping beside it. Kind of, using your connection with Belgrease, you make it known that you're kind of seeing if anything perturbs him. And you see his ears kind of like, as like a satellite dish might kind of like jump around trying to find a signal. You see them kind of like wiggling towards the direction of the wagon before his head kind of like perks up and his like whole attention's kind of looking at it.
At the wagon.
At the wagon.
Ballard, what's going on?
Mr. Mayor, where is that spyglass? Look at the wagon with it. I'm gonna ride around to the back.
Okay. Are you looking just at like the wagon in general or like the inside of the wagon?
I imagine I would be in front of the wagon, so my view would probably be looking, there's horses, there's Rolly and Adam, and then inside the wagon from there. As long as there's not like a flap covering it, then I should be able to see into it.
Okay, give me a perception check. And Valorant, give me a perception check as well, if that's what you're doing. Okay. So Jerak, you pull up the spyglass and you glance through it, and there's various small amounts of magical energy in the cart from your different knickknacks that you guys have, and potions and things that kind of find themselves into the cart. But as you are looking through the contents, kind of scanning over each piece to see if anything kind of stands out to you, throw me a wisdom saving throw real quick. Is that a 5 or is that a 6? Because it usually says +0 when you have a -1.
Yeah, no, that's on just intelligence.
Okay, so
wisdom
6.
saving throw is what it is, yeah.
Okay. So as you were glancing through the contents, kind of moving the spyglass from one item to the next, you focus in on the silvered longsword that Marcus had wielded back in the butcher's hole, the weapon that he had kept at his side. It's sheathed and kind of leaned up against the one wall of the wagon. And as you look it over, it appears, coming from where the hilt meets the sheath, blood is trickling out from the blade and seeping down the outside of the sheath itself, kind of collecting in a small pool on the floor of the wagon. And this is such a shocking visual to you that you're not quite expecting, that you kind of like fumble the spyglass, it kind of like falling from your hand and into your lap on the horse as your wits are kind of like shocked in place for a moment. But as you look at it without the spyglass, it appears completely normal.
What the hell is that?
What the hell is what? What'd I get with 17?
Sorry, I just went with his because it was higher. If you were just kind of glancing without any sort of, instrument or spell, everything in the cart would appear to be as you left it, or as Adam had left it when you began traveling. Nothing is out of the ordinary, nothing's misplaced, nothing's missing.
What is it?
Marcus's sword is still in there. It's bleeding. Or it was through the spyglass. I'll guess toss it over.
Alright.
Okay.
I'll catch it, hopefully, and climb up into the wagon and get a real close look.
Okay. Go ahead, give me wisdom saving throw for shits and giggles. Okay. So as you bring the spyglass up and you look at the sword that's been pointed out to you, you see the exact same scene that Jerak had saw, except much closer, and you can kind of hold yourself there longer to really analyze it. Again, it appears that where the blade meets the sheath, or the hilt meets the sheath, there's like blood kind of spurting, pooling, and kind of dribbling down the side. The sheath itself is kind of like worn, modest leather, like studded thing down the bottom. So the blood's really kind of just flowing, trickling down it, and then collecting at the bottom of the wagon. And then the blood itself is kind of slipping through the floorboard cracks of the wagon floor itself, kind of drizzling onto the floor, but you can't quite see that, past the floor. But, yeah, it's definitely a shocking sight. You're able to keep your cool more or less as you look it over, but that's what you see.
At the back of the wagon, I tell Belgrease to back up and use the butt end of my glaive to start trying to, like I'm trying to push dog poo off of a trail. Like I maneuver the sword out the back of the wagon into the dirt.
Okay, I'm assuming you're putting down the spyglass for this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So as you're looking at it with your normal vision, it appears just to be as any other mundane sword. As you begin to kind of like shuffle it out, kind of having to like get it up and over different like boxes and barrels, and kind of like Tetrising it over things and getting it out the back of the wagon. But eventually you do manage to kind of like flip the whole sword out, and it clatters onto the dusty road behind you.
Kind of leaning around the side of the wagon at Jerak. Can you identify this?
I don't think I want to touch it.
What do you have? Do you have to touch it?
I do, yeah.
Oh. What do you make of it? It says saying to Rolly.
I have, well, first of all, I mean, is that anything I would have had any experience with before?
No, I don't think anyone would have prior history or something like this.
I have no idea. Is it Marcus coming back to say hello?
I guess I can. It's worth trying Divine Sense.
Okay. So
just to see if that illuminates anything.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember kind of the precise wording in Divine Sense. It's mainly used for like detecting evil and fiends, correct? That's kind of the gist.
Yeah, I can paste it into chat, but the idea is that strong evil registers on my senses, and I can detect celestial fiend and undead. I can detect things that have been. I detect the presence of any place or object that has been consecrated or desecrated.
Perfect. Okay. So as you reach out with your senses, kind of pulling from that power that you wield, you look it over again, and this doesn't show you the bloody mess that you saw through the spyglass, but it gives you a different sense entirely, where you were just kind of been like idly perceiving it by looking at it with the spyglass. This time you kind of feel it in a strange, almost unexplainable way, and it distinctly leaves all of your senses with this kind of bitter aftertaste. They're clearly, not having dealt with a lot of this, previously, but kind of knowing the general idea of it, there is something deeply disturbed and twisted, connected to whatever is causing this sword to do what it's doing.
This has been cursed or defamed in some way. I don't know how.
Do you want me to shatter it?
You know what? I think I do. Let's get it to a safe distance.
Adam, move the cart up about 20 feet there.
Kind of like looks back at you all like, Okay, yeah, yes. And kind of, makes the horses drag the cart a little bit farther, kind of getting away from the sword in the middle of the road.
I'm gonna lead Belgrease away the same distance.
Mm-hmm.
Can I give guidance to Jerak?
Sure.
On a side note, I think I have inspiration, but my window is too small to tell. Does that last until I use it, or is it like Bardic where it fades off after?
No,
okay.
You have it until you use it.
Okay. Then I will attempt to shatter it once everyone's out of the way.
Okay. Okay. So as everyone steps away, and Jerak, you kind of like focus in on this peculiar situation you find yourself in, trying to summon the power you use to burst owls and break barns. You focus in on the sword itself, thrusting the power forward that you use to shatter. And once you feel it connect, you see the sword kind of like jump off the ground, like something that kind of like blasted it with a little bit of energy. You see it jump up and kind of like, bounce around on the various edges that it has before kind of resting down on the ground again, seemingly unscathed. But after a split second, after the shatter rings out, you guys hear the familiar kind of like loud cracking pop that it causes. You hear like a kind of like pass by you, this kind of like weird spiritual spectral voice air that kind of just rushes past your ears real quick.
Valoran, grab the spyglass, see if it's still fucking bleeding.
Alright.
So as you look upon the scene, it is now a completely different scene entirely, where you'd kind of been in this like, elegant, kind of mundane country road, the woods around you. The whole scene is now splattered in blood. Reaching all the way to Belgrease and Jerak and Rolly, the trees, the road, the leaves up in the canopy, the back of the wagon. All of it has this kind of slow, dripping, blacky red ilk blood on it, the sword still seeping and creating a pool beneath it where it lays.
I think we have to identify it.
Oh god.
We have to know what we're dealing with.
Oh god.
I'll help you. What do you need?
I'm just gonna throw this out here. I think it seems evil if it's bloody. So
yes, I understand that, but who knows if it's even safe to transport?
Well, I know, I get that. If you have anything that can protect me?
I would need overnight to prepare.
Oh, shit. Rolly.
Yes?
Do you have anything that can maybe, protect me from evil things?
We have a saying where I'm from. It's called grow a pair. Just do what the fuck you're going to do, and if it hurts you, I'll heal you.
Okay. Then Jerak would take out I assume by now he's probably replenished his sock pile amidst the supplies and everything, so grab a sock. Kind of try and grab the thing with the sock in hand.
Valoran, are you still watching this through the spyglass?
No, I'm gonna stand. I guess I could be looking through the spyglass, but I think I'm standing at the ready with my glaive as his second.
Okay. So, Jerak, you reach down and you using your sock, grip around the handle of the sword. I imagine that's where you're grabbing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. As you squeeze, it's a kind of worn leather handle that, Marcus had very well, worn down with the usage of it over time. It almost has like a spongy feeling to it as you squeeze, giving you the sensation that you are touching something covered in blood, but you can't see it, but you can feel it running through your fingers and like soaking into the sock, but it's not actually there. But as you grip it, you begin to hear more distinctly in your ears, just like kind of constantly.
Was that words? The noise cancellation caught it.
Oh, sorry. It's just like a whispering, like I'll do it a little louder than it actually is, but like a that kind of thing.
Okay. First, I would like to cast Comprehend Languages, not as a ritual, because I don't want to take the time of it. See if that changes anything.
No.
No? Okay. And then I'll go ahead and cast Identify.
Okay. So, we've never truly figured out what Identify actually means, like, thematically. Obviously, it, identifies a magical item for you. But generally, what I'm kind of imagining is you kind of, reach into the item itself, and then that's where you gather its information from. Like, it kind of it's like a feedback kind of thing, almost like dolphin sonar, maybe, or bat sonar, where you kind of, throw the energy in, and it comes back out with some data you can kind of understand. So, with that kind of the understanding of what you've done so far, as you, reach into this item, you feel, aggressive. You feel, angry, instantaneously. And it's so quick and consuming that your, brain isn't really cognitive to understand that this is weird and you shouldn't be this angry. You feel, justifiably angry. But as you kind of reach in and the signal comes back, the anger fades moderately. It's still kind of lingering there. You don't know the name of this item. You don't really know its purpose. Trying to how to best use Identify in this situation. What you can gather is that to understand it more and get a better grasp on it, you'd have to attune to it.
Okay.
Do it.
Just based on the description of Identify, does it have a charge count on it of any type?
Not that you gathered, no.
Okay. And if the item was created by a spell, I can learn what spell created it. Is that something that would come through?
You would get the feedback of what it is, but it's so beyond, your comprehension that you don't know what it is.
Okay, so it wouldn't necessarily be a spell that did this. Okay. I'm... fucking sword. I can learn more from it, guys, I guess, if you want. But I have to connect with it, and, I guess I can do this.
No, I don't think so.
I say so. Adam, you're the tiebreaker.
Palman doesn't get a vote.
He's a member of the company.
He's an employee of the company.
I think Lord Valorant's right. I don't think I should be deciding such things.
How do you feel?
I mean, it's a sword. Okay, it's bad. I don't want any of this.
You're still hearing that whispering, by the way.
And I still have a little bit of that residual
Yeah.
anger going. Right, okay. Yeah, just kind of grits his teeth and you can see his eyes narrowing a little bit. Just didn't want to do this. Fucking squishy. Probably got something on my sock now.
You can let it go. You can drop it. And never, you don't have to touch it anymore.
Do I want to drop it?
That's up to Jerak.
But nothing's encouraging me to keep hold of it.
No.
Okay. And yeah, I'd just kind of throw it down like a childish temper, like,
You would quickly feel like a rush of relief as you kind of feel yourself coming back to that more jovial attitude you're used to.
Oh, what the hell, guys? Sorry. If I was a little snappish. When I grabbed it, I just felt mad. I felt something reach inside of me. I was just angry. Well, do you think your god could help us maybe leach the poison from whatever the hell spawned this?
Well, nothing that I personally can do at the moment, aside from simple prayer, but is there any reason we need to keep the blade in our company?
Keep someone else from happening upon it. That's all.
Throw it in a lake.
It might poison the lake, really. That would be doing far more harm than good, I think, on that one. Yeah, I'd like to go ahead and just hit it with another shatter if no one's in range.
Go for it.
I'll get out of range. Yeah.
Okay. You know, I just want to point out, you guys have fought ogres and half-dragon people and fucking hulking zombie masses. This sword has rolled 2 natural 20s when it comes to Constitution saving throws for this stupid shatter spell. But yes, as you cast again, similar scene that you saw before. Again, not looking through the spyglass, you just see a normal kind of looking sword kind of bouncing around before finally like resting in a different position on the road.
It looks otherwise unharmed.
Yes.
Okay. Shit, guys. I don't know what I can do to this thing. I could try and hit it with some godly damage.
What does that mean?
I'll just go ahead and try it and squeeze my belly, be like, and shoot out some sacred flame.
Okay.
Thing.
Hold on. Well, yeah. You already did that. See what happens, but I've got an idea after that.
Okay, so you're sacred flaming it?
No, I'm gonna just...
Jerak is.
Oh. Yeah, I was. Yeah, that was
Okay.
The initial idea.
Okay, so as you cast Sacred Flame, seeing this kind of swirling firestorm coming out of your belly button and then hitting the ground, kind of scattering little wicks of the flame out into the air, the kind of rushing spectral like gasp that you heard before as you cast Shockwave or Thunderwave? Shatter. Yeah. Now you hear this like quickly rising in pitch, like squealing noise, almost to like a similarity of hearing like a pig burning alive. It's like that it like gets to this like distorted, quickly kind of like ear piercing like squealing. That will continue as long as you continue your flame.
I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want it. And Jerak will just back up.
Alright, I'm gonna cast Dispel Magic.
Okay. Read me the description or post that description again so I just know the exact wording of it. So you're going to have to go ahead and roll for it. You have to roll your
Wisdom.
Yeah, your spellcasting ability, which is wisdom for clerics, right?
Yeah.
So just 1d20 plus your wisdom modifier. So you spend the time to send forth the usual energy you would use that kind of helps facilitate magical energy leaving certain objects or areas. And as you let it loose and feel it connect, you feel the resistance, like, of it almost succeeding. You're kind of, like, scraping it off the blade before it kind of, like, reattaches itself, reaffirms itself, and doesn't push away.
Can I try it again, or...?
Yeah, I mean, you guys are just standing in the middle of the road. You can try again if you'd like.
Yeah, I mean, it's a... So if that's, let's see here. I need that. Alright. I got one more shot at this. And I'm out of... God. Okay, well...
Yeah, so same thing. Reach out. You feel it attempting to pull it from the sword, but you can't quite finish the job. Adam, at this point, gets down from his seat, walks around to the back of the wagon, kind of looking at all of you, just kind of like vaguely concerned. I think we should just go.
Adam, you know, we definitely have your best interests at heart here. I think you should try and connect with the sword so we can see what happens, and no worries, we'll pull you right back if anything should go awry.
He kind of looks from Jerak over to Valorant and Rolly, kind of waiting to see. Any response except Rolly, you're shaking your head.
Yeah.
So,
the non-verbal.
Okay.
We can't do that.
Oh, okay. My apologies, Adam.
Silently,
No.
Adam looks over to Valor and just goes like,
We're just going to have to.
Okay.
We're just gonna have to bring it with us until we can figure out how to destroy it.
Oh, God. Okay. Then I'll go in with the sock and just gingerly grab the thing and try and drop it into the backside of the cart.
so as you grab it again, you just feel that like, you like, as gingerly as you can grab it again, hearing the kind of whispering like filling your head as you kind of put it down gently in the back of the wagon.
And I'll go ahead and just throw that sock into the brush.
Okay.
Okay, well, fuck us on that. Let's go see if we can find a ravine to throw the damn thing in whenever we're up in the mountains. Oh, God.
I won't be happy unless I see it destroyed. Wherever we throw this, it can only come back to haunt us.
Fair enough. Then I guess let us be off. Oh.
Always love seeing the big brains of the Golden Hearts at work. Good job, team.
Calvin.
Can I,
And shut up.
All you have to do is... Can I hold onto this sword?
You want to hold on to it?
Yeah. I want to see if I can discern anything from it. as I'm actually holding it.
Yeah, I mean, so as you grab it, the same description as before, it kind of, you feel not the same kind of rush of anger that Jerak did, because he actually tried to identify it, but just kind of gripping it makes you feel like more agitated, more on edge, a bit more rough around the edges. And you hear that kind of spectral whispering in your mind as you hold it.
Rolly, just be careful you don't connect with it very much.
It's exactly what I want to do.
Well, it takes a short rest, which is an hour. So I mean, Valor won't necessarily argue, but it's not like a trick that you can pull.
He's like holding it behind his back.
Who gave us this sword again?
It's Marcus's sword.
But it wasn't given to him as a...
It was silvered in Karun Vale, I believe.
Prior to today, it was a regular sword, as far as anybody knew.
Then show me.
Yeah, I'll toss it back on the ground.
Well, back in the wagon or back on the ground?
On the ground. Anybody else wants to?
No, Rolly, that's
littering.
Go throw it in. No, you can't leave that line. I'll throw it back in where it was in the back of the cart. Okay, all right. Lord Valoran, if you don't mind taking point, I have a feeling you would be better at sensing anything that may be ahead of us.
All right, then. And I'll mount up, and we'll get moving again.
Okay. Adam, having questions all throughout what just occurred, kind of decided to keep them to himself after his small interaction with Valoran. Gets the cart and the wagon, back moving. Everyone falling back easily into the routine of traveling. Finishing up this day of travel. So you would arrive at Dragoncliff Mines maybe early morning the next day. You guys have kind of stopped camp near the base of the mountains at this point. The rest of the journey is kind of up like various kind of like switching back roads and kind of like on the edge of cliff sides for a little bit before turning around again. Obviously, Rolly and Jerak, you've been here before, so you kind of know the familiar approach that you have to go through. As you were kind of camped out, you do realize that this is roughly the location that you originally found the LH axe, and then you're not too far from the spot in the road where you kind of diverged into the woods seeking out the bandit camp. You're maybe only like an hour or two away from where Mayor Hillthorn lost his life in various ways, depending on who you ask. But yeah, so you guys kind of camped out for the evening, kind of getting ready for Dragoncliff Mines. At this point, I don't quite want to get into Dragoncliff Mines due to where we're at in the time, but if there's any sort of like comments, conversations, things to clean up before the next session, this would be the time to do that.
Alright, I have an idea. Rolly, do you want to make your connection with that sword?
Yes, I do.
Okay. What I'm wondering is, and I'll take out the Crown of Memories, if you try to make your connection, and it feels like something bad is happening, I think if you access the power of this, you might be able to whisk your mind away so it can't be latched onto, and at least give us a few moments to try and snatch the thing away from you while you're lost within the crown.
I like it. So if I'm going to put the crown on, I'm going to attune to this thing. If I feel that it's a curse, I'll try to use the crown simultaneously. You'll see me go into my daze, and then you can
take away the sword.
Yeah.
You'll have to attune to the crown as well, I believe, right?
No, you don't have to attune to the crown.
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna have mage hands ready to grab the thing.
Okay.
Wait. Yeah, okay.
So, Earl, you are donning the crown of memories, holding the sword, and then attuning to it.
Yes.
And your goal is, if anything goes wrong, to use the crown of memories.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm gonna be like spring loaded to use that if I feel wrong.
Okay. Valorant, are you
Roll
doing
it,
anything
roll it.
during this? Oh, sorry.
I'm standing nearby with my glaive, ready to put Rolly out of his misery.
Okay.
Valorant, do you have anything that can disarm? Any special maneuvers you could pull?
It's not so special. I hit him with my glaive.
Good, okay. Rolly.
What I have to do to attune to it? How do I have to hold the sword?
Like, I'm imagining you're kind of like either sad or, relaxing physically, holding it and kind of staring at and focusing on it. Whether you're like holding that in front of you or like lightly in your hands or holding the grip, I imagine you could do it a number of ways.
I'll do it as least connected to it as possible.
Okay.
Like, I'm gonna, if I have to touch it, I'm gonna touch the very tip of the sword,
Okay.
with it pushed out away from me, so that to actually, I'm gonna tell him I'm only going to grab this sword if I'm cursed and I'm gonna attack you. Okay?
Okay.
I don't intend to wield this sword, so if you see me wielding it, or even going to grab the pommel of it, that's not me.
You just have your hand on the tip of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a finger on the tip? Okay.
Just like that.
Rolly, a recommendation to you. If you have to delve into the crown, try and pull up a memory when you felt most connected with the First Mother.
Got it. Mr. Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. There.
Okay, everyone's playing, ready for action.
Okay.
Nothing could possibly go wrong. Okay, so Rolly, as you set the sword out gently on the grass, and you have to unsheath it to, make contact with the actual blade of it. You lay it out, and you put your finger down against the metal. You hear that kind of spectral whispering beginning to start in the back of your mind. You then proceed to try to reach out and connect yourself with this item, spending, the next hour or so kind of opening yourself up to potentially what magical effects this sword may wield. Valorant and Jerak, I imagine you're not just like standing there at the ready for an hour. You're kind of like respectfully.
No, 100% at the ready.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every time my mage hand fades, I tootle up another one.
I mean, this is not the first weird ceremony I've ever done. I can stand ready for an hour.
Okay. So, Rolly, as you try not to get distracted by the two men staring you down like you're about to be a piece of chopped meat, you continue to reach out. And after an hour goes by, the evening kind of setting in for the day, the sounds like the woodlands and whatnot kind of picking up, you feel that like odd magical barrier kind of break down, and you feel the deeper connection of the item kind of hitting you. And a few silent moments pass where you're almost like left in this like, is that it? Like, really? No discernible effect really occurring until eventually, in your head, just telepathically linked to you, you hear, "Oh, hello there."
It's been some time, but it's always nice to stretch my legs.
Yes, and by stretch your legs you mean...
Well, I am at the disposal of my wielder. It seems that you are the one who wield me now. Were you the one who summoned me from my realm with your act of violence?
No, that was another.
No.
Who are you?
I've gone by many names. Some of them are not so kind. But my favorite was Blood Cleaver, my original name. You can call me that.
Blood Cleaver. It is a pleasure to meet you. I do so hope you're not evil.
Evil is so black and white. I much prefer red.
Well, I prefer all colors, but sometimes red is necessary. Are we going to be friends, Blood Cleaver?
Well, that depends on if you're going to feed me.
Yeah. How often do you need to eat?
It's not so much eating, it's more drinking.
That was my point. Don't be coy. How often do you need Blood Cleaver?
You hear, again, this voice is this, like, weird, kind of raspy, half-focused noise in the back of your head. And as you hear him kind of joke a little bit, you're just like, ha 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 ha.
I'm sorry, I don't get to joke around much anymore.
I like jokes. Feel free to joke as much as you like.
Well, I would love to be plunged in some juicy flesh whenever you can manage that for me.
Well, it's not something that comes up every day, but...
Oh, that's a pity.
We can come to an arrangement.
Well, if you're not the one who summoned me, then why not put me in his care?
He's dead. Would you prefer a dead man wielded you? Doubt you'd get much blood that way.
I crawled out of the hills for this disappointment.
Don't be so hasty.
Well, I guess I should know your name, wielder, if you're going to procure my, fluids.
Roly Halfbeard at your service.
Well, it's a pleasure, Rolly.
Now that we've got introductions out of the way, what exactly do you do besides... I can't imagine you're just a normal sword.
I'm not a sword at all, Rolly Halfbeard. I'm a tool. I was originally a butcher's knife some time ago, but my wielder got a little possessive of me, and I found myself coming into existence as a rather dingy, rusty meat cleaver. I much like the finesse of this blade, though. It's much better for slicing through one's enemies.
It's a fine form, don't get me wrong at all, but I'm a dwarf. These little toothpicks are not much to our liking. If you can change yourself, why don't you make yourself an axe?
Sadly, I am physically bound by whatever vessel is being wielded at the time of my summoning.
Well, you'll do.
Glad I don't disappoint, Roly Halfbeard.
Well, remember, I had asked you a question, though. What the hell do you do?
Well, I stab things, and I soak up the delicious blood on the inside of those things. And then when my wielder sees it fit, I release that blood in a crimson explosion.
Fair enough. Now, my fighting style tends towards magical damage with relatively little engagement. I've got a friend who absolutely loves to smash things. Would you be willing to transfer ownership at some point?
Whoever feeds me the best.
Well then, for now I'll see if we can't get you a drink in a day or two, and when my friend returns, we'll see if he would enjoy a blade of your cap.
As you mentioned having to wait, you just hear this like...
Oh, stop it. You've waited this long.
200 years, Roly Halfbeard.
Oh, for the love of God, just... This will shut you up, and I'll slice my hand with it.
As you do,
That's a trigger.
Yeah, I think Mage Hand would try and pull the thing away. Because you said as soon as you grab the hilt, you're gonna be attacking, so...
Okay, sorry. Yeah, let me clarify. I mean, I wouldn't have gone through that. Was this all like?
Yeah, this is all telepathic. You're not saying this.
Okay. I tell him, wait, it's okay.
Bro, what do you mean it's okay?
It's okay. It's just a bloodthirsty sword. Nothing to be afraid of.
That doesn't work for me.
Rolly, what are you talking about? That's the definition of cursed.
The cursed is so black and white.
Well, yeah. It's either cursed or not cursed. What?
All right. Hey, Blood Cleaver, just hold on. I'm sure one of these days we'll be fighting something.
Roly Halfbeard, if you put me in that sheath without feeding me, I will be angry.
Guys, just one moment. You have my permission to kill me if this goes bad, but I, Roly Halfbeard, do this of my own free will. I'll slice my hand.
Okay. So, I'm assuming you guys are all watching this happen, correct? So you guys would see Roly, slicing his hand along the length of the edge of the blade, and you see his blood, trailing from his wound, sticking to the metal. But distinctly, after, a few seconds, him kind of pulling his hand away at this point, you see the blood seeping into the metal and disappearing. Like actually being sucked into it. And as it disappears, Roly, you hear this like,
You need to start talking.
Okay.
Rolly, what the fuck was that?
And okay,
Hold on, one moment.
so
No more moments. Spit it out.
A moment, I'm not your serf. I'm trying to figure something out, and then I'll have something concrete in a moment.
so what did the blood do?
So there's no easy way to, like, give you this without kind of describing what the sword does. The mechanical aspects of it is whenever you kill a creature, a living creature with it that has blood in it, you basically build up a charge. That charge then builds up hit dice or like attack damage dice. So like let's say you kill a goblin, that's 1 dice. Kill an ogre, it's another dice. Eventually you can build up to 6d6, blood damage. And if you use the sword on something and then hit and deal damage, you can declare that you are blood striking and then roll that damage on top of whatever damage you're doing and expend all the charges.
Does he have to land the killing blow for that?
Yes. To build up charges, he has to kill the creature with it.
Okay.
And how long do the charges stay with the sword?
They stay, but they just cap at 6.
Okay.
Guys, this is sorry about all that. Seems as if fortune is in our favor. As far as I can tell, this is not a curse. It's simply a sword that is imbued with blood magic, which,
and then I would describe... I guess
more or less what you... Yeah.
Yeah, so...
if there's no objections, I think this might be the perfect blade for Thor.
No objections.
It whispers and screams like.
You whisper and scream and cry.
It's quite clearly evil.
Clearly? How is it clearly evil?
I sensed it. Don't bullshit me. It's evil.
You sensed it was evil.
Is he still hanging on to it?
I imagine so.
Valorn's gonna knock it away if he can.
I see him go to try to knock it away, I'll throw it away. Can I?
Yeah. As you go to throw, you just see this like, ha! And then it like cuts short as you like leave the grip.
Yeah, it's a tool, Valorant.
Did you gain any insight on how to destroy it?
Did I gain any insight?
Not with the conversation you had.
Did I feel like I was close to succeeding with the Dispel Magic?
Moderately. As much as you can judge.
I believe this is simply a magical sword, Valorant. The magic can be dispelled if that's your worry.
I don't want to find out what happens if it doesn't get a drink.
We're mercenaries, Val. We fight for a living.
But, Rolly, we've just been involved with a cult for a dark god, bent on burning the world to ash. We've seen things that I'm just pointing this out here. Where there's blood, there tends to be really bad shit going on.
Where there's blood, there's life, Jerak.
And we're just going to ignore the fact that, however this happened, it happened in the butcher hole. I'm not carrying around some artifact from that day. For who knows what purpose.
Alright then. We're back to square one. We'll get rid of it.
Rolly, do you think you can handle holding on to it until we can find a way to get rid of it?
I don't think I would be arguing with you if I didn't think so. It's a magical blade. What could possibly go wrong? Valorant, you need to smile more. You're so damn grumpy.
You of all people should understand what could go wrong.
Yeah, but that worked out fine. Look at me. Just an off-colored eye, no big deal.
Valor, and we can leave it for now, I think. Just make sure nothing happens to him tonight.
Look,
They have...
it's not worth arguing over if it's going to cause... I just thought that with what I've discerned of the blade, that it would probably be spectacular in Thor's hands. With mine, not so much. How often do I land a killing blow ever, much less in melee combat?
Well, forgive me, I just am not prepared to give the evil sword to Thor.
You might have a point there. Alright, let's get rid of the damn thing. And not tell Thor about it.
I can
Agreed.
Here, let's wrap it up and I'll take a cloak out.
You can unattune from a magic item.
Mm-hmm.
Under normal circumstances, you can.
Okay.
It takes another hour, I think.
And then I'll go ahead and do that.
Okay. I think that's where we're going to end the session then.
Damn it.
Our